the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 426, The Correct Use of the Golden Whip 3. How did it become like this? Next time you have problems, just come to me. I'm a good fighter. Zhu Wangming kept muttering in Wen Jiu's ear. He really didn't expect that they would send someone out tonight. I'm so angry. I finally raised you alive and kicking, and now we are back to square one after a fight. An hour ago, Wen Jiu was still playing with the whip very enthusiastically, but it didn't take long for her to feel that she was running out of energy, followed by dizziness and weak steps. Before she could say anything, her brain crashed, and she passed out. When she woke up, she was greeted by the transparent door of the medical cabin. But this time she didn't need to knock on the door to go out, because Zhu Wangming had been guarding here for fear that something would happen to her. As soon as she woke up, he let her out. This seemed to be a single medical cabin ward. The whole room only had the medical cabin she just came out of. In addition, there were some medical supplies, tables, and chairs, etc. It was completely different from the first time she came to the hospital to live in the medical cabin. When Jiu felt that her whole body was sore, she yawned and said, "What's wrong? Am I dying?" "Not really." Zhu Wangming checked her body values again, "But your values are very strange, either ridiculously high or very low." After that, he handed the electronic panel in his hand to Wen Jiu, indicating that he should take a good look at the values on it. "To be honest, I can't read this value." Wen Jiu felt that she was still dizzy. She felt even more dizzy when she saw the red and green values on the panel. She remembered that she was quite energetic after waking up last time, but she didn't know why she felt sleepy and dizzy this time. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming sighed and took back the electronic panel. "You are suffering from excessive mental power consumption. Use the golden whip less in the future. Let your mother buy you a new weapon." After all, he came from the military region, so he naturally knew about all kinds of weapons on the market. Well, how are Shishi and the others? Wen Jiu didn't want to talk about mental power for the time being, because when she used the golden whip, she didn't consume mental power at all, so she shouldn't have symptoms of excessive consumption. Even if there is, it should be supernatural energy. Zhu Wangming pondered for a moment before answering. Ziqingyu has almost recovered now, but he was taken away by his family as soon as he woke up. They said they would take him back to be treated by a private doctor. Kyoshi woke up 2 hours earlier than you, but her waist and abdomen were seriously injured. She has to rest in the hospital for a while. "Oh, and your tall friend?" At this point, Zhu Wangming paused. "Although he didn't have any external injuries, I still gave him a physical examination. He consumed too much supernatural energy, and his previous internal injuries have not healed. He can't use supernatural powers during this period." Zhu Wangming earnestly instructed Wen Jiu, mainly because he told the unknown young man that the other party was either pretending to be deaf and dumb or fooling around. In short, it didn't seem like he listened to it. Although he didn't like the attitude of the young man, he was Wen Jiu's friend and was brought by Yu Ruman. No matter what, he would treat him according to the professional ethics that a doctor should have. Hearing this, Wen Jiu shook her head and tried to wake herself up, but she really felt like her brain was hollowed out and she felt sleepy and dizzy. "Rest here first. I'll bring your mother to see you later." Zhu Wangming could see that Wen Jiu was not in good condition, so he left a bottle of nutrient solution for him to replenish, then picked up the electronic panel and walked out quickly. Just as he was about to close the door, he caught a glimpse of the confusion on Wen Jiu's face, so he cleared his throat and said, "You have to sleep in the medical cabin for another night tonight. I have set up the program. Just lie down, and you don't need to do anything else." "Oh, thank you." Wen Jiu fell down directly after she finished speaking. Her brain had long been occupied by sleepiness, and she didn't want to do anything else except sleep. After she lay back on the soft bed in the medical cabin, the transparent cabin door rose from the left to the right, and a faint smoke began to fill the air vents in the cabin. This smoke is specially used to calm the mind, so she fell asleep as soon as she closed her eyes. After closing the door, Zhu Wangming did not leave immediately. He first looked through the display on the electronic panel for a while, and then walked towards the end of the corridor. Why don't you want to go in and take a look at her? Don't you like her very much? There was no light at the end of the corridor. Yu Rumen walked out of the darkness with a cold face. She only glanced at Zhu Wangming without answering. She was not unwilling to see Wen Jiu, but because she felt guilty and distressed, thinking that she had not protected him well. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming smiled awkwardly. Okay, I was just kidding. Wen Jiu recovered quite well, but she consumed too much mental energy and needed to rest. It is estimated that lying in the medical cabin for 2 days will be enough. Why did she consume too much mental energy? Yu Rumen's beautiful eyebrows were frowned at this moment. Is it caused by using the golden whip? I guess it should be. After all, you also know that using the golden whip is very mentally exhausting. Zhu Wangming walked into the elevator with her and then walked all the way to his exclusive office. Yu Rumen's heart has been hanging these days, and it can be said that she has not relaxed for a moment. She collapsed on the chair as soon as she entered the door. Anyway, she didn't need to care about her image with Zhu Wangming. Have you some juice? You like peach flavor? Seeing this, Zhu Wangming took out a box of peach juice from the small refrigerator. Have you dealt with the matter over there? He poured a full cup of peach juice and handed it to Yu Rumen. Thank you for your hard work these days. It's not that hard. The other males lurking in Danghu have been pulled out, but our speed is still not fast enough. There are always a few fish that slip through the net and run away in the chaos. Yu Rumen took a sip of the icy peach juice. This greasy sweet taste always makes her feel better. Although the higher-ups intend to restart the college competition, they have not yet issued formal regulations and orders, so their faction has not taken any action, thinking of making plans after getting accurate information. But she didn't expect those people to be so bold that they dared to come to the East Lake Scenic Area and take away Wen Jiu and others before the new regulations were officially promulgated. If you don't check, you won't know. Once you check, you will find that they have planted a lot of people in the East Lake Scenic Area, and the actions in the past few days were carried out with the cooperation of these people. She originally wanted to get information from the captured people, but those people died suddenly overnight, before they could be arranged for interrogation, which made her already uncomfortable mood even more irritable. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel 030. Chapter 427. Those who understand. 1. The vast snowfield was covered with white snow. Looking around, apart from the boundless snow, nothing else could be seen. Wen Jiu was wearing a blue and white striped hospital gown, hugging her arms, and walking barefoot in the snow. Strangely enough, she remembered that she was very afraid of the cold. But when she came to this place, she didn't feel cold at all. She could even play in the snow barefoot, and lie in the soft snow that had not yet hardened to feel the snow surrounding her. It's so nice here. I can play freely with just these clothes. Wen Jiu lay in the snow and looked at the sky. The gloomy sky was covered with a light gray, as if showing someone's gloomy mood. She always felt that she seemed to have been here, but thinking carefully, it was completely impossible. Because she was so afraid of the cold, it was impossible for her to come here, and she hadn't run around since she came to the Interstellar. So why did she dream of this place? Dreaming is indeed a strange and beautiful thing. Wen Jiu had been lying in the snow for a long time without feeling cold, so she started to flutter in the snow with her hands and legs, feeling like she was paddling and swimming. But before she had fluttered for long, she saw a big head on top of her head. Before she could react, the big head fell down, and the fur made her itch. Who are you? She just lay there and let the big head rub against her. Are you homeless too? As soon as she finished speaking, she felt the big head leave, but then she felt a slight tingling sensation in her palm, and at the same time, there was a strange wet and slightly cool feeling. Wen Jiu sat up and found that the big head was actually a snow leopard. When the other party saw her sitting cross-legged, he followed her posture and raised his front limbs to sit down. But it was not used to this human sitting posture. It sat like this for less than a few seconds before lying down, and then stared at Wen Jiu with a wronged look. Ayo, okay, I'll lie down too. Wen Jiu felt that she had understood the animal language at this moment. She could understand the other party's low howl. Seeing that there was only her and the snow leopard in the snow, she leaned forward and lay on the ground, blinking and looking at the cute snow leopard in front of her. Ayo, is it dangerous here? But I haven't seen anything more dangerous than you. Ayo, okay, you are not dangerous, and you will protect me. Then where are you from? How about taking me to your place for a walk? Wen Jiu felt like she was coaxing a child. She lifted her legs and swayed left and right for a while. The snow leopard's blue eyes followed her legs and turned left and right, which immediately reduced the danger and mystery of it and added an indescribable cuteness. The man and the beast just lay in the snow and looked at each other, chatting about irrelevant topics in their own language. I don't know where I came from. Maybe I fell down with a bang. It's a pity that I didn't fall on you, otherwise I could feel your furry fur. Wen Jiu laughed as she spoke, but it was a pity that the stupid snow leopard didn't know what she was laughing at. After laughing, she found that the tail behind the other party was shaking constantly, as if calling her to touch it quickly. So she climbed up from the snow. Good leopard, don't move. Let me see your tail. While speaking in a coaxing tone, she walked quickly behind the snow leopard, then grabbed the other party's tail and began to rub it frantically. Just as she imagined, it didn't feel soft, but rather hard like a silver needle that had not yet grown. But this touch didn't make her feel uncomfortable, but made her feel more and more addicted to it. But before Wen Jiu touched it for long, the snow leopard suddenly jumped forward and pulled a short distance away from her. This made her wonder, aren't you going to be friends with me? Why are you running so far? Woo. After the snow leopard howled at her twice, it squatted on the ground and hid its tail behind it. Wen Jiu understood what he said, which meant that she was not allowed to touch the cute tail. So she put her hands on her hips and said, good friends should touch each other's tails. If you want to be friends with me, you have to let me touch your tail. After the words fell, the snow leopard turned its head in confusion, and the arc-shaped ears on its head moved at this time. Woo. This time it did not shake its tail again, and it put on a cold and arrogant expression. Seeing this, Wen Jiu walked in front of it and said, I have a tail. I definitely have a tail. It's just that my tail is hidden by me. If you are willing to let me touch your tail more, I will make it appear for you to touch. How about it? She lied calmly. Anyway, she was just dreaming now, and it was not a problem to deceive the cute snow leopard. The snow leopard blinked as if thinking, and its ears kept moving at this moment. Wen Jiu's hands itched even more. How could I lie to you? I'm the most trustworthy person in the world. If I lie to you, you can hold me down and do whatever you want. This time, after she finished speaking, the snow leopard started to wag its tail again. Wen Jiu quickly took this opportunity to touch the snow leopard's ears twice to satisfy her, and then turned around to rub its tail. In fact, she was not really lying to the leopard, because she had ears before, and who knows if she would have more tails one day. Leopard, your tail is so fun. She kept muttering while rubbing it. At this moment, when she was immersed in rubbing her tail, the snow leopard, who was squatting casually, couldn't help but tense up, and inexplicably felt a kind of human-like nervousness and shyness. Wen Jiu originally wanted to try to trick the snow leopard's belly. After all, the belly of these small animals feels very comfortable to touch. Unfortunately, before she could even open her mouth, she was disturbed by the rapid banging sound. Jiu, why are you still sleeping? When she opened her eyes, she saw Zikangai's big face that deserved a beating. In fact, the sound of the other party slapping the cabin door was very slight, and the words she muttered were not very loud. But since her mutation, her hearing has improved a lot, and she can hear even such a slight sound. Dr. Zhu, my sister Jiu is awake. Seeing her open her eyes and wake up, Zikangai excitedly called Zhu Wangming. He came to the hospital today mainly to visit Kaioshishi, but the time he came was not coincidental. The other party was taken by the nurse for treatment, so he followed Zhu Wangming to Wen Jiu. It's okay to wake up. Why did you sleep for a whole day and night? Zhu Wangming frowned and looked at the electronic panel in his hand. It stands to reason that he only set the tranquilizer mist for 10 hours, so Wen Jiu would wake up naturally after sleeping for 10 hours, but the other party slept for a full 24 hours without any movement. Today's third update has also been delivered. Thank you again to the little angels for your support 030. PS. If the sound of the snow leopard is wrong, please point it out. But the author did search for information and look for videos, but all he found was the sound of a woo-a-woo, so he wrote it like this. ORZ. Chapter 428 Recovery 1. Do you still feel dizzy and sleepy now? The medical cabin will monitor the user's physical data in real time. Zhu Wangming imported this data into the electronic panel. While observing and analyzing it, he asked Wen Jiu how he felt. I'm neither dizzy nor sleepy now. I just feel like punching someone. Wen Jiu sat sleepily on the soft bed in the medical cabin. She felt confused and a little angry. She seemed to have had a strange dream, but she couldn't remember what she dreamed about. She only remembered that she was very happy in the dream. Could it be that she dreamed that she became the richest man in the Federation? Zikingayu stood by at a loss. He didn't expect that he just knocked on the cabin door lightly and woke up the sleeping Wen Jiu. And judging from the other party's face, there was a high probability that he would be beaten. So he quickly said, Jiu, what did you dream about just now? I kept hearing you mumbling about tails and ears. This gave Wen Jiu a hint about the dream, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't remember the content of the dream. Could it be that she dreamed that she had mutated to the stage of Chujian? If so, she would rather not think about it. After all, she was not ready to grow ears and a tail, and she didn't know what animal genes she had merged with. Nothing. I forgot. Wen Jiu simply changed the subject. How is Shishi's condition? I heard from Dr. Zhu that she is in good condition, and I originally wanted to see her first, but she happened to be taken to the nurse for examination. Zikingayu quickly took over the topic and explained that she didn't mean to wake Wen Jiu. Well, I know. Wen Jiu jumped off the soft bed. After a good sleep, she felt much better, and she didn't feel the drowsiness and discomfort when she woke up for the first time. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming took the electronic panel again. Your data is now starting to rise and fall normally. You can be transferred to a normal ward to rest after 2 more days in the medical cabin. He looked at Wen Jiu's hesitant look and added, don't worry, I won't charge you. Dr. Zhu, you understand me too well. Wen Jiu smiled. Well, can I go find Shishi now? Zhu Wangming sighed helplessly and nodded, so she asked Zikingayu to take her to Kao Shishi's ward. As soon as they arrived at the door of Kao Shishi's ward, they heard a familiar female voice. It's all your fault. If you hadn't been yelling about female independence all the time, how could Shishi be brainwashed by you and run away from home? Now that Shishi is injured like this, you can't escape responsibility. What do you mean I'm also responsible? I always want Shishi to go home, just worried that something might happen to her outside. Anyway, you have to take responsibility for this matter, otherwise I will take it to the federal court and see if you still have the face to stay in the military district. The door of the ward was not closed tightly, so when Jiu and Zikingayu looked out, Kyojuan was standing at the door in a dark blue military uniform, and in front of her was a person in gorgeous clothes and exquisite makeup, cursing. I will finally address you as aunt. I believe this matter is not only my responsibility. If you hadn't stopped Shishi from going to school and training, she wouldn't have run away from home and encountered danger. And since Shishi has chosen the current path, she must learn to accept the setbacks on this road. I have already started investigating this incident with others. Please give me more time to find the answer. After Kyojuan finished speaking, Zhang Mian's anger became more obvious. She raised her hand and wanted to shout at Kyojuan, but the other party was so agile that she couldn't hit him easily, so she pounced directly and smashed the door open. Wen Jiu quickly grabbed Zikingayu and hid to the side, causing Zhang Mian to fall heavily to the ground, looking extremely embarrassed. Zio Wen. Kyojuan changed her previous cold expression. Why didn't you say anything when you two came? She seemed to have not seen Zhang Mian lying on the ground. After she pushed the door open completely, she welcomed Wen Jiu and Zikingayu in. and after the two of them went in, she closed the door of the ward directly, completely ignoring Zhang Mian scolding outside. "My aunt is like this." Kyojuan smiled apologetically. "You are here to see Shishi, right?" Zikingai, who didn't know what to say to this, he just nodded and sat down on the sofa obediently, thinking about waiting for Shishi to come back after the examination. Wen Jiu shrugged indifferently and replied, "It's okay, it's not the first time I've seen my aunt go crazy. By the way, how long will it take for Shishi to come back?" Her words made Kyojuan couldn't help laughing out loud. "Zio Wen, you are really funny. Shishi should be back soon. I asked the nurse in charge of her when I came. When Shishi was sent to the hospital before, according to the routine procedure, the family members should be contacted. So you Ruman asked Kyojuan, who had not left planet 3047, to come over. It was just that the situation was more urgent at the time, so the hospital contacted Shishi's parents just in case. Kyojuan came to the hospital whenever she was free these days, but every time she came, she couldn't avoid arguing with Zhang Mian. "Sister Kyo, when are you leaving?" When Jiu remembered that Kyojuan came back for vacation, and her vacation should be only a few days left. These few days, Kyojuan thought for a moment. Fortunately, Shishi woke up, otherwise I would have to apply for an extension of vacation, and I can't rest assured until she wakes up. She was worried about Shishi's condition every day, but fortunately, she finally woke up after treatment. They were chatting when they heard the sound of the door opening. Shishi was wearing a blue and white striped hospital gown. She looked very thin and a little pale, mainly because Shishi was seriously injured this time, and the location of the injury was more difficult to treat, so she looked much more haggard than when Jiu. Zikingai walked over when she saw her, and then quickly helped her to the bed. Why did Shishi lose so much weight? When Jiu also came to help her, she felt that Shishi had become so thin that she was weak. After saying that, Kyojuan sighed and said, "She has been lying in the medical cabin for too long, and my aunt has been making a fuss about taking her out of the hospital, which makes it difficult for the doctors to carry out treatment. The nutrient solution that was supposed to be delivered to the body was also blocked by my aunt, and she also did not allow doctors and nurses to get close to the medical cabin. People cannot eat when they are lying in the medical cabin for treatment, so the doctor will mix the nutrient solution according to the user's physical condition, and then use the specific function of the medical cabin to inject it into the human body to supplement nutrition. Today's first update has been delivered. Please check it out, little angels. Like 030, because I'm very busy with the start of school today, I only wrote 2 updates cac. I will make up for the third update before 12 o'clock in the daytime, and please forgive me, little angels ORZ. By the way, I have been sorting out the plot these days, and I should enter a new plot this week. It can be said that the whole plot is a new stage 0.0. Chapter 429 Recovery 2. Kyojuan's words made Wen Jiu and Zikingai fall into silence at the same time. They didn't expect that Zhang Mian would rather let Shishi lack nutrition to achieve her goal of taking her daughter away. If Kyojuan hadn't come to the hospital to visit her frequently, Zhang Mian might have made a bigger mistake. Ms. Zhang thinks this hospital is unreliable and wants to take me back to be taken care of by a private doctor. But how could I not know her true thoughts? She just wants me to give up and go home to get married as soon as possible. Shishi usually likes to laugh the most, but she looks lonely and a little sad at this time. She originally had a little fantasy about Zhang Mian, thinking that there would at least be a mother-daughter relationship between them. After all, it was her father Zhang Wanzhan who first proposed that she get married early. The main reason was that Zhang Mian opposed it at the time, and that's why she felt that the other party might not be so bad. But she didn't expect that her parents were of the same mind. Even if she was injured like that, they only wanted to take her home so that she could listen to the advice to give up school and training. Shishi, don't worry. I will definitely not let them take you back. Zikingai comforted her with a solemn oath. At worst, you can live in my house. I have bodyguards and a protection system. As he spoke, he began to talk about how powerful his family was, but he said this in the hope that Shishi would feel better. When Jiu didn't say anything about this, She knew that Kyoshi was actually a very thoughtful person, not as naive and weak as she looked. And she was not very good at comforting with words, so she thought about whether to ask Zhu Wangming to borrow the kitchen to make some desserts to comfort Kyoshi. It's okay, I'm much better now. Although Kyoshi was very sad about this, she knew that people could not stay in the same place. No matter what, since she had made a choice, she would continue to move forward unswervingly. So she chatted with Zikingayu for a few words despite her sleepiness, saying that she was not sad and had no physical discomfort. But before they talked for long, Zhu Wangming opened the door and walked in. He had to analyze the data for Kyoshi according to the regulations, and also bring the newly prepared nutrient solution and medicine. The other party was mainly seriously injured, so he only needed to take medicine on time and rest in the ordinary ward for a while. Unlike Wen Jiu, who had overconsumed his mental power, he had to lie in the medical cabin for a few more days before being transferred to the ordinary ward. Then we will leave first, Shishi, you have a good rest. When Jiu saw that Zhu Wangming was going to do data analysis and the medicine he brought also had sleeping pills, so he estimated that it should be Kyoshi's rest time. She thought that staying here would disturb her rest, and she had not visited Chujian, who was also hospitalized. So she pulled Zikingayu, who wanted to stay, out. My sister is here to take care of me. How can you do this without any status? I care about Shishi as a friend. Zikingayu originally wanted to find an excuse to stay, but after hearing these words, she didn't dare to say anything. When Jiu could see what he was thinking, so she said bluntly, you're almost there, there's still a long way to go. After that, she patted Zikingayu's shoulder and signaled her to lead the way to find Chujian. The two walked to the elevator one after the other, went down a few floors, and wandered around for a while before finding Chujian's ward. Zhu Wangming originally wanted to arrange them on the same floor, but there were limited single wards on each floor, and their conditions were different, so it was really inconvenient to arrange anything openly. Therefore, their wards were arranged according to the routine, and they were in the right place. Anyway, the attending physician was Zhu Wangming. Oh, you still remember to come and see me? Before Wen Jiu walked up to knock on the door, Chujian opened the door with a playful look on his face. She was a little confused when she heard this. She had been in a coma these days, so how could she have the time to visit him? But she soon found out the answer, because Zikingayu, who was standing beside her, silently took a few steps back. Brother Harry, listen to my explanation. I really didn't mean it last time. Zikingayu was the least injured among them. He was taken away by his family after he woke up from his coma. After all, his injuries had been treated as early as when he was in a coma, and he just needed to go back and let a private doctor take a look. Chujian was the one who was awake from beginning to end. He followed Yuruman all the way to the hospital, but was forced to stay here to recuperate. Therefore, the first friend Zikingayu saw after waking up was Chujian, whom he least wanted to see. He was very nervous at the time, and his brother didn't know why, but he was also a little afraid of him. Fortunately, his parents came together and took him away after completing the discharge procedures. There was no problem with this matter so far, but Zikingayu was always worried about his friends after returning home, and he ran to the 3047 hospital every day to visit Kyoshi and Wen Jiu, who were still in a coma. Until one time, when he was on the phone, while waiting for the elevator, he would habitually call Chujian brother Harry. He just happened to mention Chujian to his friends that time, and then the person standing behind him heard it. It's okay for you to give me a nickname, but why do you run away when you see me? It's not the first time that Chujian has heard the name brother Harry. Although he really wants to ask himself why he has such a nickname, he really won't get angry because of such a thing. After he said that, he made way for Wen Jiu so that he could come in and sit for a while. But when Zikingayu was about to enter the door, he dodged and blocked the other party. Little friend, why don't you say anything? I won't eat you. Wen Jiu didn't really understand why Zikingayu was so afraid of Chujian. But when she saw Zikingayu's face starting to turn pale, she said, okay, stop pestering him. Zikingayu was at least a loyal worker under her. If Chujayan scared him away, she would have a hard time finding a second such worker. After she spoke, Chujayan smacked his lips and made way, then turned around and sat next to her, slowly telling her his analysis of the past few days. At first, he thought those people were coming for him and Wen Jiu, but the psychic who sealed the barrier could obviously pull only him and Wen Jiu into the barrier, but the other party pulled Kaioshishi and Zikingayu in together. This made him feel very strange. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that this young master will become the best in the galaxy in the future. Zikingayu suddenly started to brag out of turn, and his words made Wen Jiu and Chujayan speechless. However, this did not affect their continued discussion, so the two ignored Zikingayu's nonsense and continued to discuss the issues about those cloaked people. Just as Wen Jiu was about to say what she thought about the cloaked people, Chujayan said in a daze, "Your teacher, you seem to recognize me. Today's second update has also been delivered. Please check it out. Little angels, thank you all for your support. CAC." Chapter 430 Recovery 3. Wen Jiu was not surprised to hear this. She had known for a long time that Uruman was not as simple as she seemed. It was not surprising that she could see through Chujayan's disguise. Moreover, the college had public information about teachers. She remembered that Uruman was only a level 5 psychic. But that night, she easily broke into the barrier and killed a level 6 psychic casually. Such strength did not seem like something a level 5 psychic could do. But she didn't tell me my identity. She just asked the doctor to take care of me. Chujayan recalled the look in Uruman's eyes that day. She was worried, but also had a strange joy, which really made him a little confused. They were just strangers who met by chance. What was there for her to worry about or be happy about? Then let's take it one step at a time. Wen Jiu thought for a moment and continued, "By the way, you haven't told me what the relationship is between the seedling plan and the college competition." When they talked last time, they only talked briefly about the seedling plan, but did not mention the college competition. Therefore, she still didn't understand what the seedling plan Chujayan mentioned was about gene fusion experiments, and what was the connection with finding outstanding students to participate in the college competition. Oh, of course it's related. Chujayan stretched and turned his head to look at Zikingayu. Can he listen? Zikingayu has been in a state of confusion since he entered the door because he didn't know what the two were talking about. Hearing this, Wen Jiu nodded and said, "It's okay, just talk about it. It doesn't matter if he is stupid." "What? I'm not stupid at all." Zikingayu turned his head away angrily. He was a talented seedling after all. How could he be stupid? But he didn't dwell on this issue for too long, because what Chujayan said next successfully attracted his attention. According to the normal process, students will take the graduation exam after 6 years of study to determine whether they can be promoted to the intermediate planet or the advanced planet to study in a formal military academy. But the number of places for military academies is limited every year. After all, there are so many people from other planets, so the competition for the graduation exam is quite fierce. Moreover, Planet 3047 ranks relatively low among the low-level planets and can only get 30 to 40 promotion quotas every year. It should be noted that there are thousands of graduates from 3047 Academy alone every year, plus the graduates from several other private military academies. The competition for promotion quotas can be imagined. Later, in order to give students from low-level planets more promotion opportunities, the Federation added 10 promotion quotas to all low-level planets. However, the Federation requires that these quotas can only be given to the best students, and in addition to the students who are about to graduate that year, all students over the age of 15 can participate in the competition. There are also additional quotas that can only be added once every 3 years. After all, there are still many students from middle-level planets or higher-level planets who need to go to school, and the Federation cannot give too many special treatments to low-level planets. Therefore, most of the low-level planets have come up with a college competition held every 3 years, based on these requirements, under the pretext of letting students from various colleges sign up to compete in public fairly, so that there will be no cheating at the top. The initial college competition was held smoothly, and no one interfered secretly, and only allowed students to train normally to participate in the competition. But later, those seedling trainers gradually infiltrated various colleges, and some even became the top leaders of the planet. So the seedling training plan, which was disguised as the exclusive training for outstanding students, began. Anyway, the college competition is only held every 3 years. They only need to return one seedling from each college before the event to ensure that the college competition can proceed smoothly and the seedlings can get a place. After these seedlings get the place, it seems that they can be promoted to the military academy to get rid of control, but in fact they will be replaced by other students in secret. As for these seedlings that have long become puppets, they will be taken back by the seedling trainers to continue the experiment. Then will the dean and teachers of the college agree to this approach? Is there no one standing up to protect the students? When Jiu heard this, his face was full of shock. He didn't know that these things existed at all. This simply overturned his 3 views. He had thought that if the college competition was restarted, he might be able to get a place to be promoted to the military academy in advance. But after listening to Chujian's story, he just hoped that the college competition would never be restarted. Sacrificing a few students can get more places, and it can also improve the reputation and enrollment rate of your college. Who doesn't want to do such a sure-win business? Besides the obvious benefits, there are more things you can't even imagine. Chujian hated these people to the core. He thought that, as long as he was obedient enough, he could leave the base early and go back to school normally. However, the cruel reality made him on the verge of collapse. Later, he thought he could find a way to tell the senior officials who came to inspect. After all, before these senior officials came to inspect, the seedling masters would tell them not to talk nonsense about the base. So he thought that the senior officials knew nothing about it, so he looked for an opportunity to pass the news to the senior officials. As a result, he was thrown into a small dark room that night and was punished and beaten in various ways. The 2 senior officials who came to inspect stood outside the room, laughing and chatting as they watched him endure all this. From that day on, he understood that this seedling plan was carefully arranged. From the college teachers to the planetary senior officials, everyone knew it but no one said it. They even tacitly acknowledged the existence of the seedling cultivation plan and helped the seedling cultivators to cover up the plan. Coincidentally, the 2 senior executives who laughed at his punishment were responsible for supervising the college competition he was taken back to participate in. So after he effortlessly won the first place, he took advantage of the time when they were awarding him the prize and killed the 2 senior executives and their guards with the most cruel means while laughing. When Jiu saw that Chujian was getting more and more angry, so he changed the subject and said, "Let's not talk about this for now. What do you want to eat tonight?" "Sister Jiu, you changed the subject so abruptly." Jiu also noticed that something was wrong with Chujian. So he took up the topic and answered, "I can eat anything, but can I make something delicious for Shishi?" "Of course, I plan to make her a soup." When Jiu smiled and looked at Chujian, "What about you?" "I'll make you whatever you want." Chujian knew that she was afraid that she would lose control of her emotions, so she pinched her eyebrows to calm herself down. After a long time, he opened his mouth and said, "As long as it's you who did it." The 3rd update of today has been delivered. Sorry to have kept the little angels waiting for so long. Kakai will write an additional update when I have time later. I have been too busy these days because of the school opening. ORZ. Chapter 431 Delicious Pepper Pancake 1. It's not impossible for you to use the kitchen, but there are a lot of people using it right now. Zhu Wangming was very happy when he knew when Jiu was going to cook, because he finally didn't have to drink nutrient solution. But it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there were still a lot of people using the kitchen. He didn't know if the other party would mind this. "It doesn't matter if there are a lot of people. I won't blow up the kitchen." When Jiu shrugged indifferently. She was just cooking, not blowing up the kitchen. Zhu Wangming was speechless after hearing this, but he still took Wen Jiu to the kitchen. As soon as they walked to the kitchen door, they met a round-faced nurse. The other party was stunned for a moment and then smiled and said, "Dr. Zhu, are you bringing a patient here to cook for you today?" Wen Jiu was wearing the iconic blue and white striped hospital gown. Anyone who saw her knew that she was a patient in the hospital. I guess so. Zio Wen, let me introduce you. This is Nurse Liu who lent us ingredients and dishes last time. After hearing Zhu Wangming's introduction, she smiled. Well, hello, Sister Liu. The last time she came to the kitchen to cook, she didn't have enough ingredients or dishes to use. Thanks to the beautiful and kind Nurse Liu who lent them to her, now that they meet, it's natural to greet each other properly. Oh, this child is really well behaved. Although Nurse Liu has the same round face as Zhao Zha, she smiles very sincerely, without Zhao Zha's hypocritical feeling at all. Since they all came to the kitchen to cook, the three of them walked in together. However, Wen Jiu still didn't have dishes and utensils to use this time. She was thinking about how to ask Nurse Liu to borrow them, but the other party generously let her use them without saying a word. What ingredients or herbs do you need this time? I'll get them for you. Zhu Wangming was very clear about his position as a tool person, and there was also the Wen Jiu theorem that, if you don't work, you can't eat. Hearing this, Wen Jiu thought for a moment before saying, I'll ask the others to buy the ingredients. Come and help me knead the dough. She planned to bake some pepper cakes, which would not take long, and could also be eaten by several other people. There happened to be a small oven in the kitchen, and she estimated that baking a plate of pepper cakes would be enough. It would be inconvenient to digest if she ate too much for dinner. Okay, let me show you my superb dough kneading skills. Zhu Wangming rolled up his sleeves and walked towards the sink. There were not many people cooking in the kitchen at this time. In addition to the man Nurse Liu, there were several nurses and doctors walking around. They all laughed and teased Zhu Wangming, saying that he actually brought the patient to cook for him and let him cook. What do you know? Zhu Wangming rarely got teased. Hurry up and do your own things. He usually had a stern face. Although he had a good temper and worked seriously, many colleagues would not take the initiative to make friends with him. It was during this kind of leisure time that people would take the opportunity to tease him. After that, the others didn't say anything more and hurried to prepare their own dinner. Wen Jiu thought that she and Kaioshishi would both stay in the hospital for a while, so she asked Zikingayu to buy a lot of ingredients and put them here with Zhu Wangming's label so that no one would dare to take them. And it doesn't matter if you can't use them all, you can take them away when you are discharged from the hospital. Sister Jiu, I bought the ingredients. Zikingayu was quite fast. Wen Jiu had just washed the utensils and dishes to be used and saw him coming in with 2 full bags. The small kitchen in the hospital is not a secret existence. If you want to use it, you can ask the medical staff, but few patients will come to borrow it. You can leave these and take the rest to Dr. Zhu and ask him to put a label on the package. Wen Jiu found the ingredients for making pepper cakes and then threw the spiny fish for fish soup into the basin. The main reason was that Kaioshishi had lost too much weight these days, and she thought she could make a bowl of fish soup noodles to supplement her nutrition. Although the nutrient solution prescribed by the doctor can also replenish the fish soup noodles she made are her sincere intentions and can also bring some emotional comfort to Kaioshishi. So Wen Jiu first removed the scales and gutted the spiny fish and then found a frying pan and started frying. The spiny fish gradually turned golden with the sizzling sound of frying, and everyone was attracted by the sudden aroma of oil. She waited until the spiny fish in the pot was fried until both sides were golden, then poured it into the big pot and prepared to simmer slowly. Zikingayu, scoop a few bowls of water into the pot, then cover it with a lid and boil it over medium heat, then turn to low heat and simmer for 30 minutes. How can you eat without working? Naturally, she had to arrange people to work. After that, Wen Jiu went to prepare to make pepper cakes. She kneaded the dough and asked Zhu Wangming to come over and continue kneading it because she also had to prepare another ball of dough for making noodles. Zhu Wangming was very unfamiliar with kneading the dough at first, but he was not a stupid person. After trying it several times, he mastered the essence of kneading the dough and then kneaded it more and more vigorously. The three of them were busy in the kitchen in an orderly manner. Seeing those who just wanted to leave after cooking a dish, they couldn't help but feel that they were not really cooking. I suddenly feel that my broccoli and carrots are not a dish. I would have cooked chicken breast earlier. Oh my god, look at that little girl cutting radish shreds. How did she cut them so finely? Every time I cut them, they are thicker than my fingers. The medical staff who wanted to go back to the office to eat after cooking all stood in the kitchen with their bowls to watch Wen Jiu. She divided the kneaded dough into many small pieces and then carefully wrapped the fillings. After wrapping all the pepper cakes, she brushed them with a layer of egg liquid, then grabbed a handful of sesame seeds and sprinkled them on them, and then put the pepper cakes into the oven. Then she opened the lid of the pot and took a look at the boiling of the fish soup, and then began to deal with another dough. In just a blink of an eye, she had turned the dough into long and thin noodles. Her movements were both skillful and neat, which made the medical staff stunned. However, before they could come to their senses, the smell of burnt food in the oven filled the air. Zio King Gaiu, go and watch it. Wen Jiu still had to finish boiling the fish soup. She poured the chopped radish into it and then slowly stirred it with a spoon for a while before covering the pot again. As time passed, the snow-white skin of the pepper cake gradually turned brown, and the sesame seeds on the surface evaporated due to the heat, giving off a faint oily aroma. This strange and complex fragrance, like a fascinating goblin, bewitched everyone present except Wen Jiu. So everyone stopped staring at the iron pot, where she was boiling soup, but shifted their sights, and began to look forward to the pepper cake coming out of the oven. Today's first update has been delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 432 Delicious Pepper Pancake 2. The filling of the pepper cake is made of fresh Gilu beast meat, and it also contains a lot of Wen Jiu's secret seasonings and spices. After high temperature baking, it seems that the meat filling is activated, and waves of tempting aroma continue to emanate. Moreover, the freshly baked pepper cake is round and plump, and the surface brushed with egg liquid is even more temptingly browned. As soon as Wen Jiu brought out the baking tray, a group of people came over. They all looked at the plate of pepper cakes with shining eyes, and the word "want to eat" was written all over their faces. Make way, don't squeeze my patient. Fortunately, Zhu Wangming was reliable and hurried up to help her drive the people aside. After she put the baking tray on the chopping board, she took off the thick heat insulating gloves. Several onlookers wanted to come forward, but when they saw Zhu Wangming's cold face, they silently stepped back a few steps to make way. Their giving way gave Zio King Gaiu an opportunity. He was originally observing the cooking of the fish soup by the big pot, but he was pushed aside as soon as the pepper cakes came out of the oven. As a small man, he naturally couldn't squeeze through these adults, so he could only stand outside in a rage and wait for Wen Jiu to remember him. Uncle and aunt, make way. He finally found an opportunity to squeeze into the encirclement, but he didn't go to Wen Jiu to ask for pepper cakes. Instead, he ran to the big pot to turn down the fire of the fish soup, because he remembered that the other party said that this was for Kaioshishi to drink. Pepper cakes must be eaten fresh out of the oven, and they will be more fragrant if they are eaten while they are hot. Wen Jiu picked up a pepper cake and handed it to Zhu Wangming, as if he was not afraid of the heat. He had been craving for this for a long time. When the pepper cakes were still in the oven, he wanted to take them out and eat them. So he took the pepper cake and took a bite quickly. The crispy crust made a crisp sound when it met his teeth, and the strong sesame fragrance was swallowed into his mouth along with the sweet crust. He burned his tongue because he ate too fast, but the strong meaty aroma that followed made him forget the slight pain. The hot soup locked by the pancake flowed into his mouth, combined with the previous meat filling and pancake skin, and every chew made him taste the ultimate freshness and deliciousness. At first, he thought that this pepper pancake would taste dry, and wondered if he should get a cup to pour some water. It was not until he really tasted the deliciousness of this soup that he realized that he had thought too much. Moreover, the meat filling of this pepper pancake was particularly large. I really don't know how Wen Jiu managed to make the skin thin, the meat thick and juicy. Here, yours. Wen Jiu saw that the fish soup was almost done, so he asked Zikingayu to go over and eat the pancake to fill her stomach. However, she was a little worried that the two would finish the pepper pancakes at once, so she borrowed a lunchbox from Nurse Liu and put 5 or 6 pancakes in it, thinking that she would take it to Chujayan's ward later to eat with him. It's not that she cares about Chujayan that much, but she has an idea that she wants to find him to realize. Of course, you have to return the favor after using someone else's things, so Wen Jiu took another pepper cake and gave it to Nurse Liu. After all, the other party was almost drooling standing there. Thank you, Zio Wen. As soon as Nurse Liu got the pepper cake, she was surrounded by other colleagues. They stared at the pepper cake in her hand with eager eyes, as if they would turn into primitive people and rush over to grab it in the next second. Seeing this, she quickly took a bite of the cake and said, I only have this one pepper cake, don't bet on it, this cake smells so good. The brown and crispy pepper cake was not dry at all. The crust was particularly flexible and had a sweet starch. The aroma of sesame and the aroma of meat filling rushed into her nasal cavity together, making her feel like she was in a fairyland. Chewing it carefully, you can taste the rich onion fragrance in the meat filling. The combination of various aromas is like a bomb, which easily impressed her. This kind of extreme fragrance was something she had never tasted before. She didn't want to care what her colleagues thought at this moment. She just wanted to eat the pepper cake and continue to taste the rich and delicious taste. The others originally wanted Nurse Liu to cut the cake into pieces and give everyone a bite to taste, but she wolfed down the pepper cake, which made everyone even more greedy. So they turned their heads to look at Wen Jiu, wanting the little girl to give them a pepper cake. Why don't you go back to the office to eat? Zhu Wangming saw their intentions at a glance. Don't stand there like an idiot. You still have to go to the ward after dinner, he said while eating the pepper cake in his hand. This was the third pepper cake he had eaten, but he still felt that he was not full. After the words fell, the others showed unwilling expressions. But they couldn't argue or beat Zhu Wangming, so they could only walk out one by one with grievances. What's the patient's name? Do you know which ward she lives in? I know. Her name is Wen Jiu. She lives in the intensive care unit on the 9th floor. You guys are not trying to curry favor with her, are you? Her attending physician is Dr. Zhu, but if you want to curry favor with her, remember to take me with you. Wen Jiu didn't know that she had been targeted by these medical staff. She was busy putting the noodles she had pulled into the pot so that she could cook a bowl of hot fish soup noodles for Kao Shishi. The fish soup was boiled white and fragrant, and it was very tempting just by looking at it. Paired with the slender and flexible noodles and the fragrant shredded radish, anyone who eats this fish soup noodles will feel like they are in heaven. After she cooked the noodles, she put them in a heat preservation box and then handed them to Zikingayu and said, send these noodles to Shishi while they are still hot. The pepper cakes are a bit greasy for her, so don't bring them to her. Well, I'll go now. Zikingayu originally wanted to get 2 pepper cakes for Kao Shishi, but after hearing this, he put the pepper cakes back in his hand. Anyway, he had just eaten 3 and was full. However, the taste of this pepper cake is really good, with a strong meaty aroma and rich juices. Chewing it together with the onion fragrance and the sweet crust makes him feel that it is hard to extricate himself. But he is already full now, and he has to rush to deliver dinner to Kao Shishi, so he took the heat preservation box and hurried out the door. As he walked, he thought to himself, thank you Sister Jiu for creating opportunities for him. She is really his good teammate and good boss. Dr. Zhu, remember to wash these pots and pans after you finish eating. When Jiu picked up her lunchbox, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. See you during the evening rounds. After she finished speaking, she left the kitchen and walked straight to Chu Jian's ward without even looking at Zhu Wangming, who was still eating the cake. The second update of the day was delivered by the little author with a chuckle. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 433 Spiritual Perception 1. Chu Jian was already starving. If it wasn't inconvenient for him to walk around the hospital, he would have gone to the kitchen with Zikingayu. Why would he wait so anxiously in the ward? What delicious food did you make? He kept walking back and forth at the door and finally waited for Wen Jiu to come. You know, he had been worried that the other party would deliberately not give him food. I made a few pepper cakes. After Wen Jiu came in, he closed the door and then couldn't wait to take the lunchbox and open it. A strong and impactful aroma instantly floated out. He became even hungrier when he smelled the fragrance. If you want to know why he stayed in Wen Jiu restaurant, one of the reasons must be that Wen Jiu's food was too delicious. If he ran away to other places, food and accommodation would probably be a problem, let alone eating such delicious food. So Chu Jian's face showed a smile. He quickly washed his hands, and when he came back, he picked up a pepper cake and bit it. The pepper cake is no longer as hot as it was when it was just out of the oven, but the warm and rich aroma continues to spread across his taste buds. The pepper cake is fragrant and crispy, and has a unique aroma derived from sesame. Not to mention the generous amount of meat filling inside. It is also full of fresh and fragrant juice, which makes him forget his troubles immediately when he eats it. Moreover, the meat filling has no fishy smell at all. The aroma of meat and onion, coupled with the aroma of spices, can taste the sweetness of meat and the spiciness of pepper in every bite. When Jiu saw that he was the first to start eating and didn't say anything, he just walked slowly to the bathroom to wash his hands and then walked back slowly to pick up a pepper cake. She has long been accustomed to her own cooking skills, and there are many chefs in modern times who are better than her in cooking. In fact, in the interstellar space full of dark cuisine, her mediocre skills can be called a god chef. By the way, I have something to ask you. When Jiu said, while taking a bite of the pepper cake, Dr. Zhu told me that your internal injuries have not healed. Why didn't you tell me about this? In fact, she had already guessed that Chu Jian still had injuries on his body. Otherwise how could he, a level 5 dual system psychic, be easily pinned down by her, a level 2 psychic? Hearing this, Chu Jian paused for a moment while eating the cake and then slowly said, I forgot to tell you, it's not important anyway. When Jiu was a little angry when she heard this. How could this matter not be important? It was very important to her. If she had known that Chu Jian's recovery was affected by internal injuries, she would definitely bring him to the hospital to find Zhu Wangming for treatment. After all, Chu Jian's body had recovered in all aspects, and he could be her free doorman, not to mention that he could also be her thug for free. Last time, she heard from Zikingayu and Kyoshishi that hiring a level 5 or above psychic as a bodyguard would cost at least tens of millions of star coins. If she didn't take advantage of this, she would be a real bastard. Let Dr. Zhu check you again later, and then let him come up with a treatment plan for you to treat your internal injuries. I don't want it. When Jiu was just excited about having a bodyguard worth tens of millions, but Chu Jian, who was eating cakes, poured a basin of cold water on her. Hearing this, she chewed harder. Why? You are not happy to treat your injuries for free. He can't cure me. Chu Jian was a little helpless. My injuries can't be solved by lying in the medical cabin. Hearing this, when Jiu fell into deep thought. Not long after, she spoke again. How about I try to treat you? Anyway, we are in the same boat now, and it will be more beneficial than harmful for me to have your injury healed. After all, she was only a second level psychic, and Kyoshishi and Zikingayu were still on the edge of promotion. Among them, only Chu Jian had a high combat power. After she finished speaking, Chu Jian couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and looked at her with interest. Can you help me heal? Does Dr. Wen charge for treatment? Of course I will charge money, but if you don't have money, just remember it first. When Jiu was not very sure about the treatment of injuries, she just had a guess and wanted to prove it. So she waited until Chu Jian had eaten and drunk enough and then began her unique treatment. Put out your hand first. When Jiu sat cross-legged on the sofa with an excited look on his face. The environment of Chu Jian's single ward was not bad, and there was a small sofa that could sit 3 people. Her words confused Chu Jian. Heal the wound. Why do you need my hand? Just stretch it out. If I tell you to, why are you asking so many questions? She grabbed Chu Jian's hand and put her own hand on his artery. This was what her master had taught her. After all, the 5 arts of metaphysics are composed of mountain, medicine, fate, physiognomy, and divination. She thought she was pretty good at medicine. 1. Although her furnace would always explode when she was refining pills, it did not prevent her from learning medicine and treating diseases. She held her breath and concentrated her energy to adjust herself to the best state. Chu Jiadan's blood vessels became more tense and his pulse was straight. From this pulse, it can be seen that there is a high probability that his liver and gallbladder have problems. 2. He has internal injuries due to fatigue and insufficient internal energy. He needs to rest and replenish his body. It seems that Zhu Wangming is still quite capable and can analyze the general situation from the data. 3. Not well yet? Chu Jiadan felt a little bored sitting there. He has always been a person who can't sit still. When he was staying in the guest room at Wen Jiu's house, he read more than a dozen romance novels because he was bored. When he had nothing to do, he would exercise in the guest room. In short, he had to find something to do to feel comfortable. He saw Wen Jiu put 3 fingers on his wrist, as if she could find out his injury with her fingers. Originally, he thought that the other party might really be able to treat him, but now he just thought he was playing house with a little girl. He was about to say that there was no need to continue the treatment when he heard Wen Jiu slowly say, "Your injury is a bit serious. Your liver, gallbladder and kidneys have different degrees of damage. But let Dr. Zhu help you with these injuries. I will take a look at the rest of the injuries in a different way. This method may make you feel a little weird, but you just need to cooperate and don't resist." After saying that, she closed her eyes and slowed down her breathing. Chu Jiadan wanted to interrupt her, but seeing that she was serious and told him about her situation, he sat obediently and didn't say anything more. Wen Jiu was actually quite nervous. She hadn't used this method for a long time. Moreover, she didn't know if she could hold on until she finished the investigation in this way in her current condition. As she thought about it, she tried to disperse a trace of spiritual power. Her fingertips emitted a faint light, which made Chu Jiadan a little confused. Then she slowly injected this trace of spiritual power into Chu Jiadan's body and told him not to struggle or resist no matter what happened next. Because next she would use her spiritual power to see if she could heal Chu Jiadan's internal injuries. Today's 3rd update has been delivered on time. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. 1. The 5 arts of metaphysics are referenced from Baidu Encyclopedia. 2. Referenced from Baidu String Pulse. 3. Referenced from Baidu String Pulse. If there is any mistake, please correct it. Whisper. I just hope the tone can be better. ROZ. Chapter 434 Spiritual Perception 2. The main reason was that Wen Jiu felt that supernatural powers were similar to spiritual roots. Anyway, she didn't feel much difference when she used them. Therefore, she thought that spiritual roots could be slightly repaired with spiritual power after being damaged, and the origin of supernatural powers might also be healed and repaired in this way. She controlled the spiritual power to swim in Chu Jiadan's body like a fish. Not long after, she sensed a dark and misty cloud-like unidentified object, so she stopped and began to concentrate on sensing the cloud. She remembered that her master had said that spiritual roots were not concrete things, and they needed to be sensed with the heart to find their general existence. If they wanted to heal and repair, they had to calm down and sense them carefully. I think spiritual roots and the origin of supernatural powers should be similar. After all, she found the latter by the method of finding the former. However, Wen Jiu had never tried to use spiritual power to heal and repair, because modern cultivators are rare, and their sect is particularly harmonious, so it is difficult for fighting to cause spiritual roots to be damaged. Only when the senior brothers and sisters practiced to cross the tribulation, there was a probability that they would be struck by the falling tribulation thunder and their spiritual roots would be scattered. But even if the situation of being struck by lightning and the spiritual roots being scattered occurred, it would not be her turn as someone who had never actually operated it. Moreover, the probability of this happening was extremely small. Anyway, in her memory, it only happened once, when her master came out to heal and repair the unlucky senior brother. After her master's healing and repair, the spiritual roots of the senior brother were restored to their original state, without being affected by the thunder tribulation at all. Wen Jiu carefully recalled her master's teachings. She had only tried to use spiritual power to find the existence of spiritual roots before, but had never really used spiritual power to heal and repair them. She didn't dare to tell Chu Jian this, for she was afraid that the other party would just leave with a flick of his arm. Next, don't move around. I have found the source of your supernatural power. Wen Jiu looked at Chu Jian with a firm gaze, which gave him some confidence. After saying that, she closed her eyes again and concentrated on sensing it. The clouds and mist were as dim as clouds on a rainy day. However, this ethereal state of clouds and mist was really difficult to capture, so she could only strengthen her spiritual power perception. After a while, Wen Jiu felt that the cloud was being pushed away bit by bit, revealing the true source of supernatural power hidden under the layers of fog. This made her smile slightly, and she secretly sighed that she was indeed a genius. Chu Jian was originally puzzled by the fleeting flash, but after he saw Wen Jiu's smug expression, his heart softened for a moment, and even thought that it would be nice if time stopped like this. Because his parents died when he was very young, he had no other relatives except his grandfather. Then he was unable to contact or meet his grandfather due to special circumstances, so he wandered alone for 3 years. In addition to what happened in the base and the research institute before, he was always in a state of high alert against strangers. Wen Jiu, who was thinking of using him, inexplicably broke into his world. Although the other party said that he would throw him out when he was no longer valuable, he actually took good care of him as a friend, which made the high wall built in his heart collapse little by little. He didn't know how to treat Wen Jiu now. He seemed a little too old to call him a friend. The little boy who always cried and the little girl who always tried to show off were the other's peers and good friends. As for him, he didn't seem to be a friend or a peer. What should he be? A brother who couldn't even take out half a star coin? Thinking about it, Chu Jian suddenly burst out laughing, almost causing Wen Jiu, who was concentrating on checking the source of the supernatural power, to withdraw his spiritual power. Do you have ADHD? Wen Jiu felt speechless. She had just found the real source of the supernatural power and was about to check where it needed healing and repair when she was interrupted by Chu Jian's laughter. Sorry, you continue. Chu Jian deliberately softened her voice and pretended to blink innocently. Wen Jiu got goosebumps all over her body, so she simply closed her eyes and continued to sense with her spiritual power. She had just finally peeled away the elusive mist layer by layer, like peeling an onion, but the mist returned as soon as she relaxed. Fortunately, with her previous experience, she was more skilled in clearing the mist this time, and her speed was much faster than before. After the mist dissipated, the source of the supernatural power turned into a black cat with golden pupils, which looked exactly like Xiaohei. However, this cat was just like Xiaohei, who she had just met, with a limp on its front limbs and a terrifying skinny state. Perhaps because Chu Jian did not resist or use supernatural powers, the kitten only ran for a moment and then lay down quietly. Wen Jiu tried to turn his spiritual power into a flowing spring, slowly flowing towards the kitten until the spring flowed over its injured front limbs and it made a weak cat cry. At the same time, Chu Jian, who was originally looking at Wen Jiu, was suddenly stunned. He felt a strange warmth surging in his body. This feeling made him feel both strange and indescribably comfortable. But it didn't take long for this warmth to disappear. I can indeed cure your internal injuries. Wen Jiu's face turned pale, and a bead of sweat rolled down her forehead. It can be seen that this treatment method is very tiring for her. She paused and then said, but it is definitely not curable in a short time. It will take multiple treatments to completely repair your internal injuries. She originally thought that she would try to use her spiritual power to see if it would work, and then withdraw the spiritual power after confirming it, and wait for the next treatment. But when her spiritual power flowed through the black cat's forelimbs, she only felt that the spiritual power was absorbed by the black cat little by little. When the spiritual power was completely absorbed by the black cat, her perception was suddenly interrupted. But before she completely lost her perception, she could see that the black cat was much more energetic than before, so she thought her healing and repair was still useful. Chu Jian nodded blankly. He could feel the changes in his body. If the source of his supernatural power was a dilapidated house with leaks everywhere, then after Wen Jiu's treatment, it became a thatched house that could barely keep out the wind and rain. This change really surprised him. By the way, it's really tiring to treat you, so I'll charge this amount for each treatment. Wen Jiu said, making a gun gesture. 880,000 star coins for one time is not too much, right? Chu Jian twitched his mouth and said, are you sure this is not too much? The next second, Wen Jiu answered him confidently, of course, if it weren't for the fact that you have recovered and are useful to me, I would charge you 8.88 million for one treatment. Today's first update is here. Thank you little angels for your support and love 030. Chapter 435 about Snowflake Crisp 1. Wen Jiu chatted with Chu Jian for a while and then returned to her ward. She felt that she had found out why her mental power was overconsumed during this battle. Perhaps what Zhu Wangming found was not her mental power, but her spiritual power when she used the 5 Thunderbolts talisman. After all, she usually only used her spiritual power to draw spells, and she hadn't consumed it so much and used attack spells for a long time. But she had long discovered that mental power and spiritual power were not from the same source, and the latter was closely related to the origin of supernatural power. Speaking of this concept of the origin of supernatural power, it was Zhu Wangming who taught her when he talked about Chu Jian's injury. The origin is like a container for storing energy, but it is not the same as supernatural energy. It's not her fault that her teacher didn't teach her when she was in college, because this aspect of the content will only be learned in the second semester. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that these things were really complicated. When school starts, she must go to the library to study more. Speaking of school, it seems that there are only 10 days left. Wen Jiu quickly opened the light curtain panel. Her Snowflake Crisps and new store were not yet settled, and she had not yet signed the new contract she promised Lulu. She had also disappeared for several days, and everyone must have been looking for her like crazy. Sure enough, as soon as she opened the light curtain panel, a call request popped up. Miss Wen, I'm sorry to bother you so late. I really have an emergency to contact you. Ming Yahan's tone has always been calm, and he rarely gets so anxious. The launch of the Snowflake Crisps had been prepared long ago, and they were just waiting to contact Wen Jiu to select a time to start selling them, but the other party suddenly disappeared a few days ago. Their rival Crown Food took this opportunity to launch a joint food with another popular food anchor. The most ridiculous thing is that the name of the food is actually called Bingsu Crisp, which is clearly intended to compete with Wuao food. It's okay. I had some things to deal with at home a few days ago, so I didn't have much time to go online to handle the news. Wen Jiu quickly made up a white lie. She couldn't say that she fainted from a fight. Then Ming Yahan briefly explained the current situation to her, which made her more and more speechless. It's because Crown Foods has just launched Ice Snow Crisps, and it's easy for us to sell Snow Crisps now. So you want to avoid this time period and sell them later? That's not what I mean. I'm still very confident in Snow Crisps, but there may be conflicts in marketing. I don't know if you can accept this. Wen Jiu thought Ming Yahan had backed down like this. What about Crown Foods launching Ice Snow Crisps at this time? Anyone can see that this is a declaration of war against worry-free food. Although Snow Crisps have not been officially promoted, those fans who have received fan benefits have already posted a lot of Starblogs in the food discussion area of Starblog. In addition, she also posted in Starblog that she and Worry Free Foods are cooperating, which also shows that the product to be launched is Snow Crisps. What Crown Food did was not only a declaration of war against Wuao food, but also a challenge to her Snowflake Crisps. How could she tolerate such behavior? So she controlled her emotions and calmly analyzed, I think we can arrange the official sale in the next 2 days. There is no need to avoid the time and delay it. The longer it is delayed, the more disadvantageous it will be for us. The early release now can also show that they have been preparing for a long time before launching it. It is not that they rushed to develop Snowflake Crisps after seeing the big sales of Crown Food Snowflake Crisps. After all, it takes time to find a cooperating anchor, product development, and subsequent product tasting feedback, as well as production, packaging, inspection, etc., which cannot be completed in a short time. And Crown Foods' move is really bad. If Wu Food and Wen Jiu really choose to delay the sale, they will inevitably use public opinion marketing to copy the snowflake crisps. Ms. Wen's idea is basically the same as mine. Ming Yahan couldn't help but relax a little. Then I will send you the times decided in the meeting, as well as the packaging we specially customized for the snowflake crisps. He was worried that Wen Jiu would retreat and hand over the food market that was about to be conquered. He had people buy the ice and snow crisps sold by Crown Foods to review. Not to mention the greasy sweetness, it tasted like eating a dough that was not fully cooked. The outer layer was as hard as a frozen popsicle, and the inside was too soft and even a little sticky. It didn't have the crispy and soft texture of snowflake crisps, nor the just right sweetness that was not too sweet. If they officially sold snowflake crisps in the near future, they could save some advertising costs by taking advantage of the popularity of ice and snow crisps. It's not that Ming Yahan was reluctant to spend advertising costs. He had already asked people to contact gourmets with good reputations and gave them a few boxes of snowflake crisps to facilitate writing reviews. As for the holographic projection of high-rise advertising and the implantation of major websites, he had contacted the person in charge of advertising early on, just to successfully launch the snowflake crisps and gain more territory in the food market. Wen Jiu pressed her thumb on her middle finger and counted which day was better. She usually didn't like to calculate this, but she attached great importance to the sale of snowflake crisps, so she sat here and calculated carefully. It just so happens that the days in the past 2 days have been very good. I think tomorrow and the day after tomorrow are both good days, so why not officially start selling the day after tomorrow? I'm afraid that tomorrow will be too tight. In fact, it's okay to officially start selling tomorrow, because we've already made preparations here, and we are just waiting for you to make a decision. If it were to work with someone else, Ming Yahan, who likes to take the initiative, would generally make a decision directly. That is, he took into account Wen Jiu's talent and the fact that he regarded her as a weak little sister, so he would be patient and wait for the other party to make a decision. Since you said tomorrow is okay, then let's officially start selling tomorrow. Wen Jiu didn't have any objection to this, and for her, the sooner she sold the better, so that she could get the dividend earlier. After discussing the time, she clicked on the picture sent by Ming Yahan. Fortunately, the other party did not have the gorgeous aesthetics of Ziziu, and the packaging used was a very simple frosted light white packaging bag with orderly snowflake patterns printed on it. Each bag contained 2 pieces of snowflake crisps, and 10 bags were packed into a box for sale. The paper box used for the packaging is also very simple, with only blue and white colors and snowflake patterns. Wen Jiu was very satisfied with the packaging. She liked this kind of simplicity. Then she and Ming Yahan finalized the rest of the plan, and after solving the problem of selling snowflake crisps, she clicked on the message sent to her by Lulu and Ziziu. Today's second update, please check it out. Little Angels =W equals. Chapter 436 The Girl in a Man's Dream 1. The night was as dark as water, the moonlight was cold, and the breeze made the grey curtains flutter gently. Lu Yan sat by the window again, and stared at the moon quietly. The dead branches outside the window, which had not yet grown new buds, swayed in the wind, making creaking sounds from time to time, disturbing the quiet. This was one of his countless sleepless nights. During those hours, when he opened his eyes until dawn, he always liked to sit by the window and watch the sun and the moon alternate. But he had a rare good sleep a few times recently, but the dreams he had every time he fell asleep were unforgettable. He rarely dreamed in the past. After all, he could hardly even sleep normally, let alone have any dreams. But last night, after he fell into a daze, he had a dream that made him a little dazed until now. And when he was attacked and injured last year, he also had a similar, but not exactly the same dream. Are you real, or are you my fantasy? Lu Yan moved his eyes to the center of the desk, where a small cotton doll was placed. The platinum hair color, gray blue eyes, 2 fangs on the side of the mouth, long pointed ears, and even the silver earrings on the ears are exactly the same as the girl in his dream. He used his slender knuckles to fiddle with the doll in front of him while recalling the strange content in his dream. It was not the first time he dreamed of this girl. He had also dreamed of her when he was attacked and injured in a coma. However, when he first dreamed of her, he did not communicate with her. Later, he was attacked by black shadows in his dream. Those black shadows were like the targets of the mission at that time, constantly waving vines and turning into black shadow monsters to attack him. Everything in the dream was so realistic, not only the pain caused by the black shadow attack, but also the anxiety of the girl standing aside and unable to get close. After waking up, he just regarded it all as a dream. After all, he could still distinguish between illusion and reality. No matter how realistic the dream is, it is just a dream, not worth remembering. But just last night, he dreamed of that girl again. Unlike the first time he dreamed, he seemed to have been seized by the snow leopard, shaking his head to please the other party, and even foolishly gave away his tail. But, thinking of this, Lu Yan's ears turned red. It was just an illusory dream. Why was the touch and rubbing so real? He couldn't help but calm down, pull his thoughts back, and murmured in a low voice, "What is the relationship between Sun Badao and you?" This cotton doll was given to him by Sun Badao as a return gift, but why did such a coincidence appear? Could it be that this was also calculated by Sun Badao? Thinking of this, Lu Yan picked up the cotton doll that was smiling obediently, and then gently stroked the doll's fluffy hair with his hand. It was because he found that the doll looked too familiar that he asked Sun Badao to exchange the cotton doll. It seems that the other party either didn't know his dream, or he was really a god. But he always felt that all this was too incredible. He had never told anyone about his dream before. Could there really be such a girl? But even if such a girl really existed, why did she appear in his dream? And how could Sun Badao buy the exact same doll? This was such a coincidence that he couldn't believe it. Lu Yan played with the doll in his hand until dawn. In the middle of the process, he even used his knuckles to straighten the doll's originally messy hair. At this time, the cotton doll in his hand had short platinum gold hair, and the way it smiled was both flamboyant and a bit naughty, exactly the same as the little girl in the dream who coaxed him to hand over his tail. It's really bad to lose control, right? He finally sighed softly, and then placed the doll on the bedside. This strange cotton doll with a smile was out of tune with his cold black, white, and grey room, like an intruder who accidentally broke into here. But it must be said that his room seemed to have a little more human touch. That is, the fireworks that others often talked about. "Good morning. You have a visitor requesting to visit here." Lu Yan had just finished washing up in the bathroom when he heard a cold mechanical voice. Needless to say, the only person who could come to see him at this time was the noisy Ming Yu. So he changed out of his pajamas, put on the black imitation military uniform of the Imperial Capital Military Academy, and then walked towards the door. Just before leaving the bedroom, he looked back at the head of the bed, and after confirming that the doll was put away, he continued to move forward steadily. "Brother Lu, Brother Yan." Ming Yu squatted pitifully in front of Lu Yan's dormitory door. "Please talk to your brother for me. I really don't want to change to a smartering with surveillance." The last time Jin Shai and Feng came to the Imperial Capital Military Academy to look for Ming Yu, although he was blocked by Ming Wanrao, Lu Xi still found Lu Wenhu to apply. They said that the Ming family had always stood on the side of the first military region. Since the young master of the Ming family was now close to Lu Yan, it would be better to let them become friends naturally, so that Lu Yan would not be without a friend in the Imperial Military Academy. This was originally a good thing, and Ming Yu himself wanted to be friends with Lu Yan. But what he never expected was that Lu Xi had another trick up his sleeve. After he applied to Lu Wenhu and was approved, he sent Jin Shai and Feng again to take away Ming Yu's wisdom ring. He said that Lu Yan was now using a new wisdom ring developed by the Federation, and Ming Yu, as Lu Yan's first good friend, naturally had to wear the same wisdom ring to show his sincerity. This sounded nice, but in fact he wanted to keep him under surveillance so that he would not take Lu Yan to find Sun Badao again, and at the same time, prevent him from continuing to communicate with Sun Badao. Lu Xi's plan was so loud that Ming Yu who learned the news, ran back home to cry to Mingwan Rao that day. But Mingwan Rao had no way to solve this matter. After all, she had already intervened once. And it was just a change of wisdom ring. Although he would be monitored by the Federation and could not surf the internet freely, she knew that her son would not do anything out of line. Therefore, she could only coax Mingyu to accept this matter for the time being. When she had the opportunity in the future, she would definitely go to Lu Wenhu to remove the monitoring of her son's wisdom ring. Forget it, brother Yan, we will be good brothers who share the same suffering in the future. Mingyu thought about it seriously. If Lu Yan could help him solve this matter, why would the other party still wear a special wisdom ring? At least he achieved his small goal of making friends with Lu Yan, and he also moved directly from the single dormitory downstairs to the top floor, and even his mecha workshop became larger and more spacious. He endured. Mingyu was the best at enduring. Well, class. Lu Yan did not answer his previous question, just glanced at him, and walked towards the portal. They are still students of the Imperial Capital Military Academy. As long as they are not on a mission outside, they must attend classes on time according to the regulations of the Military Academy. Today's 3333 update. Thank you again for the support of the Little Angels 030. The little author is posting the fourth one here, and strives to let Yan and Jiu meet this month. If it can't be done, then, OORZ, I'm speeding up, really speeding up. CAC. Chapter 437, The Strange Man on Rounds 1. Worry-free Snowflake Crisp, let you eat without worries, happy without worries. If anyone doesn't buy worry-free Snowflake Crisp, I will feel sad, okay? Is there really anyone who hasn't eaten worry-free Snowflake Crisp? What? You haven't eaten it? Then please click the icon on the left to enter the store. There are benefits and discounts for placing orders now. Ming Yahan really did what he said and made full preparations for the official sale of Snowflake Crisp. As soon as Wen Jiu opened Zingbo, an advertisement for Snowflake Crisp popped up. She wanted to turn off the advertisement. After all, she didn't need to sell Snowflake Crisp to herself. But she glanced at the automatically played advertisement and saw Zuan Rudy holding the Snowflake Crisp with a perfect smile, performing a situational drama with other stars. The other party was wearing a light white off-shoulder top and sky blue slim jeans. She didn't look as charming as usual, but added a different kind of intimacy. The favorite of homeboys and girls. Worry-free Snowflake Crisps. A must-have for traveling on a spaceship. Worry-free Snowflake Crisps. For some reason, Wen Jiu felt an inexplicable sense of shame after watching this advertisement. Why are interstellar advertisements more embarrassing than modern ones? Is it that everyone is engaged in technology and no one is engaged in artistic creation? She felt that she should have a good chat with Ming Yahan when she had time. This advertisement was so embarrassing that her scalp was numb and she wanted to dig a hole and run away. At present, she still had to solve the matter of Bikaliv broadcast. After all, Lulu had already talked to her about signing a new contract. But after she fainted a few days ago, she neither went online to reply to messages nor started live broadcasting, which made Lulu very anxious. Bakalulu, when baby, can you tell me in advance before disappearing next time? I'm really scared to death by you. Family Wealth 9. Sorry. I have asked my guardian to sign the contract, and I will send it to you right away. After Wen Jiu dealt with the previous things last night, he quickly replied to Lulu's message and accepted the new contract. Fortunately, when she took the contract to Uruman, she was online and available to help her. So after she finished it last night, she hurried to Lulu today. Bakalulu, got it. The contract should be effective tonight. See if you want to start a live broadcast to celebrate and tell your fans about your star upgrade. Wen Jiu looked at the message from Lulu and fell into deep thought. It was not convenient for her to start a live broadcast in the hospital, but in a way, she really should start a live broadcast today. It was not to celebrate and announce the star upgrade, but because the Snowflake Crisps were finally officially released. She would strike while the iron was hot and promote them, which would definitely double the sales. Although Ming Yahan did enough promotion as the other party's partner, she still had to do what she should do seriously. After all, this Snowflake Crisps also had a joint name of congratulations and prosperity. Family wealth 9. Then let's start the live broadcast tonight at the previous time. Thank you for your trouble. After seeing the message, Lulu on the other end stood up from her chair and cheered a few times. After she learned about Wen Jiu's hospitalization yesterday, she was worried about his health and helpless about the next stop. You know, she has high expectations for Wen Jiu, and her bonus is related to his live broadcast performance. In addition to money, she also likes to watch Wen Jiu's live broadcast. As long as he starts the broadcast on time, she will definitely go to watch the live broadcast, and she will also use her privileges to grab a tasting seat. There is no way Wen Jiu's cooking is really delicious. There are many anchors and many types on the bicker side, so the competition among anchors is quite fierce. Lulu is also the person in charge, who has not been in the job for a long time. She only has Wen Jiu as a good card to play, so she hopes that he can be crazy to upgrade his star and take her flying. But Wen Jiu's live broadcast is really too unstable. It was okay when he was in the cafeteria before, and he only stopped broadcasting a few times occasionally. Since the college was on vacation and he went to open a store, he has been fishing for 3 days and drying the net for 2 days. So when she heard Wen Jiu said that he was in the hospital, she thought that he would stop broadcasting for a few days again, but she didn't expect that he would still be dedicated to live broadcasting. She was now touched and excited and quickly checked whether there were any vacancies in the recommended seats for tonight. Bakalulu, then it's agreed to live broadcast tonight. I will arrange a good seat for you in the food area. Bakalulu, when baby, but you still have to take care of yourself and don't force yourself too much. Wen Jiu closed the dialog box after thanking Lulu. In addition to replying to messages and checking the sales of snowflake crisps, she also had an important, but not too important thing to do when she went online this time. The leader's youngest son, I can't find it. The most handsome man in the Federation. Who is this? I'll try another keyword. She kept searching on the Star Network for a long time while muttering, but she couldn't find any news about the handsome boy no matter what. It seems that what Zhang Zhuang she told her is probably true, and the Federation really deleted all the news about the handsome boy. It's a pity that now she doesn't know any other news about the handsome boy except for a photo, and knowing that the other party's surname is Lu, and he is the son of the leader. She doesn't even know what the handsome boy's name is. Now not only can she not contact the other party, but even the previous customer did not reply to her. Could she have really been cheated? Thinking about it, when Jiu took out the cotton doll from the Ziggy space, she regretted exchanging her doll a little bit. Who knows if the handsome boy will bully her doll. After all, the other party is the son of the head of the Federation. He will definitely not lack such a doll to play with. He might throw her doll away when he turns around. The more Wen Jiu thought about it, the angrier she felt. She couldn't help but grab the black-haired doll in her hand and rubbed it vigorously with both hands. But the doll in her hand was innocent no matter what. As she rubbed it, she found that she seemed to have flattened the doll. Well, it should be possible to pinch it back. Wen Jiu was a little confused. She forgot that this doll was made of cotton. If she rubbed it vigorously, it would definitely be deformed. She looked at the cotton doll with a flat face in her hand and could only sigh and began to rub it carefully, trying to rub the cotton doll back to its original appearance. Fortunately, the cotton doll was very plastic. She squeezed it carefully for a while and then squeezed it back. She had an indescribable feeling when she saw the doll. Wen Jiu was staring at the doll in his hand in a daze when he was startled by a knock on the door. Ahem, it's time for rounds. She glanced at the time on the light screen panel and found that it was time for rounds and examinations, but she didn't recognize the doctors and nurses who came in. So she tilted her head and asked, "Doctor brother, nurse sister, why didn't Dr. Zhu come today?" Hearing this, the two people at the door couldn't help but look at each other. Then the doctor walking in front smiled embarrassedly and replied, "Dr. Zhu had something to do in the morning, so Xiaolin and I took over temporarily. Today's first update is delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel. Thank you so much. 030. Chapter 438, The Strange Man on Round 2. When Jiu looked at them doubtfully, which made the two of them feel even more guilty. Zyro Wen, I'm a good friend of Dr. Zhu. My last name is Zhao. The one next to me is my accompanying nurse Zyro Lin. Dr. Zhao originally thought that the little girl should be easy to deal with, but when he was stared at by the other party with a scrutinizing look, not only did he feel more guilty, but even his palms were sweating. He could only try to calm down and look at Zyrolin and continue. Please check the electronic medical record for me, and don't forget to take out the nutrient solution that Dr. Zhu prepared for Zyro Wen. Oh, okay. Zyrolin was a young nurse who had just been promoted. She didn't have much experience and her acting skills were naturally poor. She took out the electronic panel in a panic, but she was so guilty being stared at by Wen Jiu that she completely forgot about checking the medical record. So after she handed the electronic panel to Dr. Zhao, she quickly found the nutrient solution prepared by Dr. Zhu, and then walked to Wen Jiu's bed with her head down. Thank you, sister. Hearing this, Zyrolin couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. She looked at the quiet and well-behaved girl in front of her, secretly thinking that things were not as complicated as she thought. She and Dr. Zhao should be able to easily achieve the purpose of this trip. They took a lot of effort to change shifts. However, she was not happy for long, and she heard Wen Jiu said slowly, "But I don't want to drink this. I only drink what Dr. Zhu sent. Can you tell me where he went?" With the experience of Zhao Zai's previous incident, she would naturally not take it lightly in the hospital again. From the moment she entered the door, she felt that the two people were very suspicious. But compared to Zhao Zai's excellent disguise, the two of them were like extras who had just started their jobs. Their expressions, movements, and tones were very unnatural. Anyone could see at a glance that they came with a purpose. Drive Zhu he. Zyrolin was a little speechless when asked, and when Jiu's cold eyes made her forget the lines she and Dr. Zhao had agreed on for a moment. Seeing this, Dr. Zhao quickly said, "Drive Zhu went home to see his relatives." But just as he said this, he heard Zyrolin hesitantly say, "Drive Zhu was sent out of the hospital on a business trip." Both of them heard what the other said, and they couldn't help but fall into silence at the same time. When Jiu looked at the two of them and was even more confused, wondering what the two of them were doing here. If they were sent from there again, then she guessed that the evil organization was probably going to fail, and the acting skills of these two people combined were not as good as that of Ziqing Gaiu. "Sorry I'm late." The appearance of Zhu Wangming instantly made the atmosphere in the ward more awkward. Dr. Zhao, who had said that he went home to see his relatives, and Zyrolin, who had said that he was sent out of the hospital on a business trip, both lowered their heads and dared not speak. This made him smile with the corners of his lips raised. "Zyro Zhao and Zyrolin, you will go out first. Wen Jiu, I'll help her check." Before he finished speaking, the two people who wanted to turn into ostriches hurriedly walked towards the door. But just as they walked to the door, they heard Zhu Wangming say again, "By the way, thank you two for being so kind to help me cover my shift. I will definitely thank you later." Hearing this, Dr. Zhao and Zyrolin buried their heads even deeper. As if there were evil spirits chasing them from behind, they pushed the cart and ran out of the ward at a fast pace. When their footsteps gradually disappeared, Zhu Wangming closed the door. Seeing this, Wen Jiu yawned and joked, "You are back from visiting relatives on a business trip? You are really fast. I just slept a little longer at home." Zhu Wangming shrugged helplessly. "They didn't say anything strange to you, did they?" "No, they just brought the nutrient solution." Wen Jiu pointed to the bedside, where there was a bottle of light blue nutrient solution, which Nurse Lin forgot to take away before leaving in a hurry. Zhu Wangming came over and picked up the nutrient solution. "Then why don't you drink it? This is indeed specially prepared for you." Wen Jiu was speechless after hearing this. She stared at him and said seriously, "How dare I drink the nutrient solution carelessly? If I meet someone like Zhao Zai again, my hospital stay will be extended." She still had a lot of things to do, such as checking the progress of the shelter center and the decoration of the new store in Donghu shopping mall. Now there are less than 10 days before school starts, and she really can't delay in the hospital any longer. "Don't worry, I have almost pulled out all the males in the hospital." Zhu Wangming understood her worries. It's just that the nutrient solution brought by Dr. Zhao and Zyrolin was indeed specially prepared for Wen Jiu. So he handed the nutrient solution forward. "Drink it quickly. I have to check you. Uncle Zu, why don't you have a nurse partner?" Wen Jiu remembered that the hospital seemed to have a rule that every ward round was conducted by a medical and nursing partner. But except for seeing Zhao Zia come to the ward round, she didn't see Zhu Wangming with other nurse partners. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming's smile became even brighter. "That's because I got promoted a while ago, so I don't need a partner for ward rounds now." "Oh, what about those two people just now?" Wen Jiu sipped the nutrient solution. "How did they get here? They look weird." This matter started when she was cooking in the kitchen last night. After being driven out by Zhu Wangming, the medical staff quietly returned to the office and began to discuss how to get a free meal. Dr. Zhao and Xiaolin were two of the participants in the discussion, but they didn't see Wen Jiu cooking because they went too late. They just smelled the faint and tempting smell of cakes. But this little smell of cakes was enough to get the two to participate in the discussion. After careful analysis and discussion, they decided to carry out a plan to get a free meal separately. Some of them came to me for a midnight snack last night and then secretly sprinkled sleeping powder in my drink, thinking that I would sleep all day after drinking it. But do you think I wouldn't notice it? So I played along and drank it to see what they were going to do, but I didn't expect that they just wanted to send someone to take your place, to get close to you, so that they can eat from you when they get to know you well. Wen Jiu was speechless after hearing Zhu Wangming's words. Why didn't these people tell her earlier that they wanted to eat? Not only could she take the opportunity to promote her new store, but she could also take the opportunity to promote snowflakes. So she clicked her tongue twice and said, "If you had told me earlier, they could have come to my new store to eat in the future, and they wouldn't have to go to so much trouble to please me." After she finished speaking, she remembered that she had to borrow the kitchen tonight. "By the way, I have to borrow the hospital's kitchen tonight. Do you think, if I share the food with the medical staff, will they agree to let me broadcast live in the kitchen?" Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 439 Pineapple Ribs 1. Welcome everyone to my live broadcast room. I'm the anchor Gong Zifake. Wen Jiu recited the opening words that are necessary for every broadcast, while taking out the ingredients she needed from the bag. In order to successfully broadcast live, she took advantage of Zhu Wangming's free time in the afternoon and asked him to take her to various offices. After briefly introducing herself, she expressed her idea of borrowing the kitchen. The more people there are, the faster gossip spreads. The news that she cooks very fragrant and delicious has spread all over the hospital, and it can be said that everyone knows it. Therefore, when she proposed that she wanted to borrow the kitchen, most people agreed without thinking, and only a small number of people agreed after a little hesitation. However, the reason why they agreed so readily was, on the one hand, because Zhu Wangming only took her to find those who often use the kitchen, and on the other hand, because she promised to share the food with everyone after it was done. So now in the kitchen, in addition to Wen Jiu, there are only Ziqingyu and Chu Jian who were caught to help. After all, Kyoshi is very weak now, and she can't ask them to do things at this time. As for Zhu Wangming, who was waiting for dinner, he was guarding the door to prevent others from entering by mistake. "Sorry, I didn't start the show a few days ago because I had something to do." Wen Jiu is not a person who likes to play the victim, and she doesn't think it's necessary to let the audience know that she was injured and unconscious. It's not the first or second time that she has stopped the show due to something unexpected, and most of the audience are very reasonable. The green grass on the head. "Sister Fake, I went to the hospital for a checkup today. The doctor told me that I have a serious disease and can only be cured by eating a bite of the food you cook." Little bear poo poo poo. He started acting right away, right? Sister Fake, don't believe him. He just stuffed the food into my mouth. The man like the wind, Sister Farkay. Sister Farkay, I have an 80-year-old mother and a 12-year-old son. They all want to eat the food you cook. Please satisfy them. Chris wants to eat 5 bowls. I haven't watched Sister Farkay's live broadcast for a long time. I didn't expect that the Windman has changed from 16 to 46 years old. Wen Jiu had just peeled the pineapple skin and was about to cut it into pieces when she caught a glimpse of the barrage of comments. Speaking of which, she hadn't seen Chris for a long time and she thought he had moved on to watch another anchor. Yes, I've successfully upgraded to a 4-star anchor, so in addition to the free tasting seats for this live broadcast, there are also additional fan exclusive tasting seats. After roughly looking through the fans' reward records and fan value rankings, she set the threshold for the fan exclusive tasting seats to require boarding the ship to grab them. After all, she is now well-known anchor in Baka Live, and the number of fans following her is approaching 500,000. The number of fans who have sent her friendship boats is even more calculated in tens of thousands, so this threshold is really not high. Big brother monkey, in fact, I think the threshold can be set higher. It's really too much to be able to grab an exclusive tasting seat just by sending a boat. Big pumpkin guan and I support raising the threshold. I'm an old fan, and don't worry about the fan value. You said to separate, so separate. What about us new fans? Are new fans not worthy of grabbing exclusive tasting seats? Don't argue, don't argue. Since it's decided, just follow this threshold for a while, and I'll make an adjustment based on the actual situation later. When Jiu poured the cut pineapple into the basin, found the fresh ribs he had just bought, washed them, and then put them on the chopping board and chopped them into small pieces with a big knife. I'm going to make 2 dishes tonight, golden egg fried rice and pineapple ribs. Pineapple ribs was something she wanted to make herself. After all, the name of this dish sounds very dark, which fits the most unpalatable food series she wants to make. And she has to promote snowflake crisps tonight, and dishes like pineapple ribs can arouse everyone's interest. As for the golden egg fried rice, it is mainly made for the medical staff. Zhu Wangming helped her count and found that there were more than 50 medical staff waiting for food. It was no problem for her to handle this number of people, but considering that these medical staff had to work night shifts, waiting too long would affect their work, so she thought about making simple and quick egg fried rice. Beauty is speechless. Although I have seen buttermelon stuffed with meat and celery fried with meat, I was still scared the moment I heard about pineapple ribs broken into glass shards. It's okay, I have a very strong acceptance ability. Sister Farkay will let me eat raw meat, even if she asks me to. I'm so hungry. If you don't want to eat, go away. Let me bear this pain for you. Wen Jiu has long been accustomed to the reactions of fans. After she glanced at the barrage, she continued to season the ribs and asked Zikingayu to steam the rice for the egg fried rice. Then she signaled Chu Jian to bring the seasoning, but she couldn't call the other party's real name during the live broadcast, so she could only lower her voice and said, "Cat number 3, pass me the soy sauce." Little bear poo poo poo, I'm laughing to death. Cat number 3. Wanzhao, cat number 3 is not very proficient in his business. He searched for soy sauce for a long time, but couldn't find it. A man like the wind. I still say the same thing. When will Sister Farkay release cat head peripherals? I must buy 10 copies and keep them. Chu Jian finally found the soy sauce from a pile of bottles and jars. As soon as he put the bottle next to Wen Jiu, he caught a glimpse of the comment saying that he was not skilled. He had no choice. He used to be a waiter, and this was his first time working in the kitchen. But he couldn't say anything, since he was still live streaming. He could only mutter a few words, and then stepped aside to wait for Wen Jiu's orders. After Wen Jiu added all the seasonings, he beat a few eggs in the basin, added some flour, and stirred them evenly. Then she started to heat the oil, and then put the ribs into the pot with chopsticks. The sizzling sound was accompanied by the aroma. She waited until all the ribs were fried until golden, before turning off the fire. A large plate of fried pork ribs was wrapped in a thin layer of golden crispy skin, but she did not stop cooking. She found a few green and red bell peppers, washed them, and cut them into pieces with a kitchen knife in the blink of an eye. After processing, she changed the pot with new oil, and then heated the oil again, and poured all the ingredients in. The yellow pineapple chunks and golden ribs were mixed together, and green and red bell peppers were mixed in as embellishments, which could arouse the appetite of fans just by looking at them. Wen Jiu estimated that it was almost done, so he poured the sauce prepared in advance into it, and then turned to high heat and stir-fried it quickly for a few times, and this pineapple ribs, that people wanted to taste, were out of the pot. This is the third update of the day. All 3 updates of the day have been delivered. The little author confidently put his hands on his hips. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. W equals. Chapter 440 Pineapple Spare Ribs 2. Zhu Wangming was sniffing outside the door. He had already smelled the faint fragrance. After a while, he heard Ziqingyu knocking on the door twice. This was the code they had agreed on before Wen Jiu started broadcasting. As long as he heard this sound, he could go in and serve the dishes. So he opened the door excitedly, and the strange fragrance that came towards him made him swallow his saliva. As soon as Zhu Wangming stepped into the kitchen, he heard Wen Jiu say, "Cat head number 4, please take the dishes out with number 2. He was stunned for a moment when he heard this, but he quickly accepted the title of number 4 and followed Ziqingyu, who was number 2, to serve the dishes. Don't worry, you will be given pineapple ribs for tasting. There is still a pot of marinated ribs over there." Wen Jiu flipped the pan with one hand and frying with the other hand. The golden egg fried rice danced in the pan with her movements, and the audience in the live broadcast room all swiped the barrage. "I'm so hungry. Why is it that every time I watch Sister Fake making egg fried rice, it's so easy, but when I make egg fried rice myself, I can only make carbon fried carbon. I want to eat big oranges." Can the host explain how to make egg fried rice? New fans feel that this dish seems very simple and want to try it at home. Chris wants to eat 5 bowls. If you want to learn how to cook, you can follow Sister Fake to check the dynamics. Sister Fake will publish the recipes of the dishes cooked in the live broadcast every time she goes off the air. It is recommended not to try it easily if you are not sure. Wen Jiu almost laughed when she saw this barrage. She still remembered the dark version of golden egg fried rice made by Chris at that time, which really impressed her. Yes, if you want to learn how to cook, you can click to follow. After following, you can check all the dynamics of the host. As long as it is a dish I have cooked in the live broadcast, I will post the detailed method in the dynamics. She poured the fried egg fried rice into a large bowl beside her. Chu Jian, who was waiting, walked over with a very understanding look, picked up the large bowl, and walked towards the kitchen door. This big pot of egg fried rice and the 2 plates of pineapple pork ribs that were just taken away were all given to the medical staff who were willing to give up the kitchen. The food is here. The food is here. Everyone was waiting outside Zhu Wangming's office. Because there were more than 50 people in total, it was difficult to find a place to gather for dinner except the cafeteria. So Wen Jiu suggested that they wait here with their bowls first, and then Zhu Wangming and others would bring the prepared food over, and then they would divide it up and take it back to their respective offices to eat. Ahem, you all line up. Zhu Wangming put the plates on the table that was dragged out earlier, and then asked the colleagues who were waiting for dinner to line up one by one. I will distribute it equally according to the number of people, and I won't give more or less, to ensure that everyone can eat. For some reason, he felt that what he said was as if there was a shortage of food in the hospital, and everyone might not be able to eat the next meal after finishing this one. Dr. Zhu, what kind of food did Zhao Wen cook? Who cares what she cooks? This dish looks shiny and smells delicious. I'll eat it, no matter what it is. Ziqingyu looked at the chattering doctors and nurses and felt that everyone was stunned when they saw delicious food. However, he still stood in front of the table with a rice spoon, waiting for Zhu Wangming to speak and serve them rice. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming coughed a few times to signal the people in line to quiet down. Since everyone is in line, let's. Before he finished speaking, he saw those people looking behind him. So he turned his head and saw Chu Jian walking towards him with a large basin. He guessed that the basin he was holding should be filled with the legendary egg fried rice. Sure enough, when Chu Jian approached and put the basin on the table, the high pile of egg fried rice like a mountain of gold instantly attracted everyone's attention. This is egg fried rice, and that is pineapple pork ribs. Chu Jian didn't want to stay here any longer. Seeing that everyone was curious, he reported the names of the food and then turned around and left. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming wanted to keep him, but then he thought that 2 people were enough here, so he began to greet the people in line to come and get food. Dr. Zhao and Xiaolin had finished their work and came here to line up, so they were the first to get egg fried rice and pineapple pork ribs. The 2 of them have always had a good relationship, so they went back to the office for dinner together. Hey, what delicious food did you make in the kitchen? As soon as they entered the office, they met other people who were still busy, but the 2 of them just wanted to sit down and taste the food, so they didn't say a few more words. Why are you so hungry? Seeing that Dr. Zhao and Xiaolin ignored him, the man pushed the cart out to get busy. Dr. Zhao and Xiaolin naturally had no time to chat because their attention was all on the food. The golden and full-grained egg fried rice, coupled with the golden and crispy fried pineapple ribs, made the 2 people's stomachs growl with hunger at the same time. They looked at each other in tacit understanding, and then picked up the chopsticks and attacked the pineapple ribs. The crispy ribs were covered with a layer of crystal soup, and they were even more shiny after being fried with a yellow pineapple. With the addition of green and red bell peppers, this color combination immediately made them feel bright. Dr. Zhao picked up a piece of ribs with chopsticks. He could taste the crispy skin of the ribs in one bite, and the meat inside was very crispy and soft. For the first time, he knew what it meant to be crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Moreover, this rib tasted not dry at all. When chewing, the meat would burst out with a full of fresh and fragrant juice, and then blended with a sweet and sour sauce, which made people's scalps numb. At this time, put a piece of pineapple in your mouth, which was refreshing and had a different kind of fresh flavor. Xiaolin, who was sitting next to him, ate a mouthful of pork ribs and a mouthful of egg fried rice. The distinct grains of fried rice were paired with soft eggs, small pieces of sweet carrot cubes, and a little bit of fragrant shallots. Every bite was filled with happiness. At the end of the meal, Dr. Zhao also ate the green and red bell peppers as a side dish. In fact, he didn't like green and red bell peppers at first, but the bell peppers were covered with a thick sauce, which was mixed with the freshness of the pork ribs and the sweetness and sourness of the pineapple. The taste was crispy and tender when bitten, which really made him unable to stop for a moment. I'll go get a spoon. Xiaolin ate the pineapple pork ribs on the plate cleanly, leaving only some amber sauce on the plate, so she thought she could use the sauce to mix the rice. Dr. Zhao was not so particular. He poured the egg fried rice directly into the plate, mixed it briefly, and then started to scrape it. After being moistened by the sauce, the crystal clear ice grains not only have their own fragrance, but also have a layer of sweetness and sourness from the sauce. Eating it only makes him feel full of fragrance, and he is still not satisfied. The first update of today has been delivered. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 441 Snowflake Crisp and Ice Snow Crisp 1. Snowflake Crisp and Ice Snow Crisp. How come they sound like they are from the same series? Do you want to buy the Snowflake Crisp to try? I plan to buy the Ice Snow Crisp. After all, it is produced by Crown Foods. Karo Xiaoli and Tong Ying stood in front of the supermarket shelf, hesitating. Because the school was about to start, they made an appointment to go shopping today, using shopping to relieve the pain of the school. The two originally wanted to go to Wen Jiu restaurant for a meal, but unfortunately Wen Jiu restaurant was closed these days, so they ran to the nearby Donghu shopping mall to hang out. The Snowflake Crisp and Ice Snow Crisp are both new snacks that have just arrived, but the sales of Ice Snow Crisp are much higher than that of the Snowflake Crisp. Then I'll take one box of Ice and Snow Crisps, and one box of Snowflake Crisps. Karo Xiaoli took one box each from the shelf, and threw them into the cart. Our food has a good reputation, and I've bought this brand before. Hearing this, Tong Ying glanced at the shelf and said, I'd better buy 3 boxes of Ice and Snow Crisps. After all, Crown Food is an old brand, and the Ice and Snow Crisps launched this time are co-branded with Leo Zhu. Because Leo Zhu. After hearing her words, Kairos Ayali took 2 boxes of ice and snow crisps from the shelf. Then I'll take a few more boxes too, in case they run out of stock later. It's too troublesome to buy pre-sale on Star Network. It's no wonder that they prefer ice and snow crisps, mainly because Crown Food is an old brand in the market, while Wuayao Food is a new brand that has only become famous in recent years. Although Crown Food is far inferior to those more famous big brands, it has been in business for such a long time and has launched many foods, so it is still better than Wuayao Food in terms of fame and reputation. Wuayao Food has a good reputation, but unfortunately it has been in business for a short time and does not produce much food, which naturally leads customers to choose the former. Although Kairos Ayali and Tong Aying are from wealthy families, they just like to go shopping. The two put the snacks they bought into the smart ring space. These 2 smart rings with space storage function were the spring festival gifts given by their parents. I should have bought 2 more boxes of snowflake crisps, Tong Aying sighed, while sitting on the hovercraft. What on earth is my Xiaoda's company doing? She is the spokesperson for the snowflake crisps, but they don't know how to promote her more. Hearing this, Kairos Ayali stopped unpacking the snowflake crisps. Xiaoda actually endorsed the snowflake crisps. Why is there no image of her on the packaging? I don't know. Maybe Wuayao Food didn't make it. Tong Aying was even more speechless when she thought of this, and she opened the snowflake crisps she had just unpacked. There were 5 snowflake-shaped snacks in the paper box, and the snow-white snowflakes were dotted with countless dark blue spots. This somewhat weird color combination made her frown. Kairos Ayali, who was standing next to her, came over to take a look and said, "Can't you make it in a blue and white gradient? This color combination makes me feel intensive phobia." She threw the ice and snow crisp aside with disdain, then picked up the box of the snowflake crisp and started to unpack it. Although Tong Aying didn't like this color combination, she had already unpacked it, so she thought she might as well try it to see how it tasted. After all, the ice and snow crisp has been very popular on Zingbo recently. Many internet celebrities and food anchors have reviewed the ice and snow crisp, and they all said that the ice and snow crisp tasted great. So she picked up a piece of ice and snow crisp and bit it gently. She thought that this snack would be as crispy as its name suggests. But she didn't expect that. After she bit it, she felt that her teeth were really hurt. It's so hard. Tong Aying bit harder this time and finally bit off a piece of the snowflake. Unlike the appearance, that was too hard on the teeth. The inside of the ice and snow crisp was so soft that it stuck to her teeth, making her face look hideous when she ate it. Coupled with the strange taste that was too sweet, she could only put a few tissues to her mouth and spit out the ice and snow crisps in her mouth with great effort. Seeing this, Kairos Ayali was confused and a little disgusted. "Ugh. You are so disgusting. You are disgusting." Tong Aying took the water cup and took a few gulps. "What's wrong with Crown Food? This ice and snow crisp is so disgusting, sweet, sticky and hard to eat." After she finished speaking, she thought about it carefully. It seemed that, since she drank the sour plum soup at Wen Jiu restaurant, she was not interested in other milk tea desserts, because those milk tea desserts were too sweet. Could this be the reason why she couldn't stand the ice and snow crisps? I'd better try this snowflake crisp. Kairos Ayali looked at the small packaging bag in the paper box. Although the design was simple and the pattern and color were very simple, it looked much more comfortable than the box of ice and snow crisps. As she said that, she picked up a packaging bag and opened it, only to see 2 neatly cut snowflake crisps inside. This snowflake crisp is mainly off-white, with green pistachio kernels and bright red dried cranberries sandwiched in it. It looks quite novel, but I don't know how it tastes. Kairos Ayali thought about Tong Aying's reaction just now, so she only took a small bite tentatively. She was originally prepared to step on thunder, but was surprised by the crispy taste of the snowflake crisp. The outer layer is crispy and the inner layer is flexible, soft and chewy. The fragrance of pistachios and the sour and sweet dried cranberries combine to taste fresh and refreshing without being greasy. "Why are you just eating and not talking?" Tong Aying finally recovered and saw Kairos Ayali eating a snowflake crisp in one mouthful without any time to care about her good friend. Kairos Ayali was still chewing the snowflake crisp in her mouth and could only point to the box with excitement, indicating that the other party should try a piece. Seeing this, Tong Aing was entangled for a long time. It was not until she saw that the other party was about to finish eating that she quickly took the last bag and opened it. Although the snowflake crisps didn't look as strange as the ice crisps, she still frowned and hesitated. After Kyozayali swallowed the snowflake crisps, she said, "If you don't want to eat the snowflake crisps, give them to me quickly. I'll give you the 3 boxes of ice crisps later." "I don't want ice crisps. I want to eat the snowflake crisps." Tong Aing picked up a piece of snowflake crisps and stuffed it into her mouth. She thought that it didn't matter if it tasted bad, at least it wouldn't be worse than the ice crisps. However, what she didn't expect was that the soft and crispy texture of the snowflake crisps was many times better than the ice crisps that hurt her teeth, and the taste was far better than the ice crisps that were too sweet and greasy. The sweetness of the snowflake crisps was just right, and with the ingredients such as pistachios and dried cranberries, the various flavors were cleverly combined together without any abruptness. Tong Aing regretted it immediately after eating it. She immediately asked the driver to turn around and go back to Donghu shopping mall, and she secretly swore in her heart that she must buy out the snowflake crisps. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you for your support. Thank you 030. Chapter 442 Snowflake Crisp and Ice Snow Crisp 2. Tong Aing and Kyozayali are not the first repeat customers of Snowflake Crisp. There are many people like them who are willing to try it out on various planets. After buying Snowflake Crisp and tasting it, they come back to buy it for the second, third, or fourth time. As a result, the offline sales of Snowflake Crisp have gradually increased. Many customers have also come to buy Snowflake Crisp in the official store of Worry-Free Food on the Star Network. You should know that in the first few days when Snowflake Crisp was first sold, only fans of Wen Jiu and Zuan Rudy bought it. Everyone else was attracted by the ice and snow crisp of Crown Food. However, after a few days of sales, the sales of Snowflake Crisp increased significantly. Although it is still a long way behind the sales of ice and snow crisp, it is at least much better than when it was first launched. In addition, many people in the Starbo food zone have begun to discuss whether the ice and snow crisp of Crown or the Snowflake Crisp of Worry-Free Food is better. What a big Tirisia Marinaceus, it's late at night. Can anyone come out to discuss rationally? I'm so hungry. You can tell what we are going to talk about by looking at the title. I'll be honest. I will be sad if anyone doesn't eat Snowflake Crisp. Although I'm a fan of butterfly, the Snowflake Crisp is really delicious. Who hasn't tried Snowflake Crisp yet? Please go and try it quickly. Okay, this money-loving person is here to sell it quickly. Snowflake Crisp is now on sale. Buy 3 boxes and get 1 box free. Sisters, hurry up and buy it. You'll make a profit if you buy it. Got it. I'll go order the Snowflake Crisp right now to try it. Of course, in addition to such praise and recommendations, there are also some different opinions. Can Wuiao Food stop hiring Water Army? I can still see the praise blog of Snowflake Crisp when I browse Zingbo late at night. Sit down and do the routine, laughing to death. Wuiao Food has time to post a lot of messages on Zingbi. Why not go back and solve the problem of plagiarism? How come there are still people who don't know that the Snowflake Crisps are plagiarized? UZHU is the god forever. On the top floor, your so-called co-branded Snowflake Crisps are plagiarized from My Pig. There are still people who don't know this, right? ZHU Jesd had fans. UK always plagiarizes My Pig in every live broadcast, and now plagiarizes the co-branded products created by My Pig. Do you really treat My Pig as a material library? My Pig doesn't speak out, because I have a good temper, and we fans have bad tempers. When Jiu originally wanted to check Zingbo to see the sales of Snowflake Crisps, but as soon as he opened Zingbo, he was automatically pushed this blog post with heated discussions. It's strange, saying that the Snowflake Crisps are not delicious, or that Wuiao Food hired Water Army is fine. After all, everyone has different tastes and she can't say anything, and Wuiao Food did hire people to do marketing. But what does it mean to say that she plagiarized? Thinking about it, she entered the words Zuhuasu and Binksusu into the search bar, and the pop-up blog stunned her. Rabbit's special account for eating melons #THE Rising Star Wuiao food is suspected of plagiarism #BIKA anchor hits the same live broadcast THEME #LAOZHU said he could not respond. Rabbit brings you the freshest melons to eat. Wuiao food has always had a good reputation in the industry, but it chose to launch Zuhuasu in collaboration with a suspected plagiarist anchor. The Zuhuasu made by the anchor is 80% similar to Laosu's Binksusu. And he has imitated Laosu's Death Food series before, and also borrowed Laosu's title of China Food King for live broadcasts. What do you think of melon-loving babies? The man like the wind. Can the marketing account show the evidence before speaking? These two foods are different from packaging to food appearance and taste, except for the similar names. Beauty is speechless. Passers-by can click on my homepage to see that the Snowflake Crisps did not copy the Ice and Snow Crisps at all, and it was the host Gongzi Fake who first made the unpalatable food series. Yan Yan's treasure. The speed of the water army's attack is too fast. Ask if this batch of water army was bought by Wuiao or by Miss Dai who disrespected the senior. UZHU Yang Yuan Shen. The fans of UK should also think about what they say. It is obvious that My Pig and Crown launched the joint name first, and within a few days, UK and Wuiao launched the joint name Snowflake Crisps. Can't you see who copied whom? Wen Jiu's fingers kept sliding up and down the light screen panel. This Xingbo actually had more than 10,000 comments, and the intensity of the argument was what she had never seen before. Strange, why don't I know I copied? She didn't know what was going on. How could she be a salted fish in the hospital for a few days and suddenly turned into a plagiarist? So she clicked on the 3 topics posted by Tutu again, and she clicked into each one and checked it carefully. The Xingbo blogs in every topic are full of filth. Some say that Wuiao food copied in order to gain a foothold, or that she copied in order to gain popularity. Some even dragged Zuan Rudy out to criticize her. Wen Jiu felt speechless at first, but she found these people very funny later. The so-called Zuhuasu copied Binksusu. Apart from the similar names, there is no other similarity. And the group of people who said that she copied LAOZHU only dared to show screenshots of the live broadcast, and no one dared to respond to the timeline posted by the money fans. The green grass on the head. #BIKA anchor hits the live broadcast THEME #LAOZHU said he could not respond. The pig fans dare to find the timeline. My K's bitter melon stuffed meat video was posted later than yours, but the method of bitter melon stuffed meat was posted by My K on the dynamic a long time ago. The man like the wind, UZHU said in the live broadcast that he saw the bitter melon stuffed with meat in the ancient Chinese cookbook. How come I looked through the ancient Chinese cookbook and couldn't find the recipe for bitter melon stuffed with meat? Did we buy different versions? Old ZHU's pig treasure. It's so funny. My ZHU definitely won't use the ancient Chinese cookbook commonly used in the market. Otherwise how can he find those unheard of recipes to make a bamboo leaf? Having said so much, my ZHU's video was still released earlier than your K. Don't you think that a host with tens of millions of fans needs to plagiarize a host with less than a million fans? Wen Jiu read the comments of the fight between Kami and ZHU fan for a while, and then went to find the clarification evidence sorted out by Kami. I have to say that her fan named King with grass on his head is an old fan circle member at first glance. The clarification evidence posted is clearly listed so that people can see the cause and effect at a glance. And the words are very appropriate without any provocation, unlike some ZHU fans who only post pictures and yin and yang. But when it comes to being sarcastic, Feng Nan and Chris are really good at it. It was already midnight, and they were still fighting with the fans on Xingbo. Then when Jiu went to see the evidence of plagiarism sent by the fans, she frowned as she read it, thinking that this matter could not be let go so easily. Today's third update has also been delivered on time. Please check it out. Little Angels. 030. Chapter 443 Snowflake Crisp and Ice Snow Crisp 3. Miss Wen, don't worry. I've also seen the public opinion storm on Xingbo. I'm currently asking the public relations department to organize the evidence and won't let you stay in the center of public opinion for too long. I'm also responsible for this matter. Crown Foods had planted people in my company before, which led to the leak of the news of Snowflake Crisp. Wen Jiu heard Ming Yehan's apologetic voice and couldn't help but stammer, not knowing what to say. But she finally said, "This matter can't be blamed on you. I told my fans early in the morning that I would find a food factory to cooperate with. Although I didn't reveal that I would cooperate with you, I think this is still easy to guess. If the news was leaked, it was indeed not Ming Yehan's responsibility. But Wen Jiu felt that now was not the time to discuss these things. What they should do and think about was how to fight back against Crown's dirty water. Speaking of which, I have to thank your fans. They provided a lot of sufficient and effective evidence, which was enough for my public relations department to issue a lawyer's letter with peace of mind. Ming Yehan has been arranging people to collect news on Xingbo these days. After all, the power of public opinion is unimaginable. Once Crown Food ferments the matter again, it will definitely affect the reputation of Wuiao Food, and it will also make Wen Jiu's anchor reputation worse. So he must come up with sufficient evidence and try to solve the rumors about Crown Food at once. There is so much information on Xingbo that it can make people dazzled. So many times people only see one side of the matter, and it is difficult to keep up with the progress and get to know the other side in depth. If this public opinion war lasts too long, it is easy to leave a bad impression in people's minds, and the later it goes, the less willing people are to understand. Therefore, Ming Yehan had already asked the lawyer to prepare a lawyer's letter, and now he is just waiting for the public relations department to organize all the evidence. It seems that I don't have to worry too much. When Jiu felt that Ming Yehan was still very reliable, then I will send you the evidence on my side later, and then you can send me a copy when you have organized it. She has been lying in the medical cabin in the hospital these days. If Zhu Wangming hadn't told her that she didn't have to pay for the medical expenses this time, she would have immediately escaped from the hospital and went home to make pills to heal her injuries. She has been in the hospital for 3 or 4 days now, and she feels a little bored with such a lazy life. So after confirming her physical condition with Zhu Wangming, she planned to leave the hospital for a walk this afternoon. When Jiu changed out of her blue and white hospital gown, Yu Ruman came to visit her in the hospital yesterday and brought her 2 sets of spring clothes for traveling. Unexpectedly, they would come in handy today. After she changed her clothes, she went to say hello to Zhu Wangming and then walked slowly towards the hospital gate. She had to do several things this time. First of all, she had to go back to the East Lake Scenic area to see Wen Jiu restaurant, and she also wanted to buy a gem bracelet from Liu Sanji. The other party had invited her several times before, but she was busy doing other things and had no time to go. The scenery in the East Lake Scenic area is still as beautiful as a painting. Such tranquility and elegance make people relax a lot. When Jiu first went to Wen Jiu restaurant to check it out, after confirming that there was no problem in the store, she locked the door and hung up the sign of suspension of business and walked slowly to other streets. As soon as she walked to the door of Liu Sanji's store, she saw a young and intellectual woman turning her head to look in her direction. Seeing this, she thought seriously for a moment before speaking. "Sister Liu, what a coincidence." Liu Xiaohang hadn't seen Wen Jiu for a long time, but she still recognized him at a glance. After all, Wen Jiu's small fangs and pointed ears are not something that ordinary people have. It's just that after not seeing each other for so many days, the other party seems to be more playful and cute than before. She smiled and walked down the steps to greet him. "Xiao Wen, long time no see, why haven't you come to the restaurant to eat recently?" Hearing this, Wen Jiu just secretly complained. She is not a rich sucker. The dishes at Fista restaurant are not as delicious as hers, but they are sold at several times more expensive than hers. How could she go to such a place to be a fool again? But she was not a person with low emotional intelligence, so she would not speak out her true feelings in front of others. So she smiled and answered obediently, "I'm busy recently. I will definitely go next time, when I have time." After the two chatted casually for a few words, Liu Xiaohang returned to the topic and asked, "Are you going to buy something here?" After the words fell, Wen Jiu nodded naturally. She just wanted to buy a gem bracelet, and it was not something that was inconvenient to talk about. Liu Xiaohang just opened her mouth to continue talking, but was interrupted by Liu Sanji, who walked out of the store. Xiao Wen, you are finally here. Why haven't you opened the store these days? She wore a peach-colored slim long skirt today. This skirt didn't look gaudy on her at all, and there was an indescribable charm. Hearing this, Wen Jiu obediently walked up the steps to the front of the store. I closed the store a few days ago because of something at home. I will open the store again after it is dealt with. She didn't want to talk more about this topic because she had other things to do after buying the bracelet. So she got straight to the point. Aunt Liu, I want to buy a bracelet from you as a gift. Can you help me pick out a style? She only knew that woman liked bright colors, but she didn't like wearing jewelry in modern times, and she had never bought any jewelry since she came here. The only two jewelry she had were given by others, namely the black and white hairpin on her head and the silver earrings on her ears. Of course, I just got a new batch of goods recently. Liu Sanji welcomed her in with a smile, then turned around and glanced at Liu Xiaohang, who was still standing outside. You go back, I can't agree to that. Wen Jiu heard the latter sentence as soon as she walked in, but she didn't turn around or ask anything about it. After all, she was not a person who liked to gossip, and she didn't even stop and walked a few more steps inside to check the window. Third aunt, can you think about it again? Liu Xiaohang originally wanted to wait until Wen Jiu left before talking about her own business, but seeing that Liu Sanji looked like she was going to drive her away, she had to speak out quickly. I have already replied to your father and others. I can't agree to it. Liu Sanji didn't want to have anything to do with the Liu family anymore, otherwise she wouldn't have given up everything and come to live in seclusion in Donghu. Seeing this, Liu Xiaohang could only bite the bullet and step onto the steps, then approached Liu Sanji and whispered, Aunt, my father said that, as long as you agree to give up the remaining shares, he will definitely meet all your requests. This is the fourth time she has come to Liu Sanji, but the other party has rejected her without hesitation every time. This is the first update of today, please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 444, The Secret of the Liu Family 1. Wen Jiu sometimes sighed in her heart that it was not a good thing to have good hearing. For example, now, she heard the conversation between Liu Sanji and Liu Xiaohang clearly. I can't give up my shares. Don't think I don't know what you are going to do. Third aunt, I don't mean to force you. It's just that this matter is indeed for the development of the Liu family. After all, you also know what the Liu family is like now. If you don't make changes, I'm afraid. Wen Jiu didn't want to listen to so much. She even wanted to plug her ears. Until she heard Liu Xiaohang call Liu Sanji third aunt. This successfully aroused her interest. She didn't expect that the two were actually relatives. But eavesdropping on other people's conversations is always bad. She still tried to ignore the sound and carefully selected the gem bracelets displayed on the counter. The workmanship of these bracelets is indeed very delicate. Even if she doesn't buy jewelry very often, she can see that the cutting of the gems is quite perfect. Moreover, Sanji Liu had put a lot of effort into the color matching and material selection. Each gemstone on display here was matched differently. The only thing in common was that they were all very delicate and dazzling. She slowly moved forward and carefully selected them. Suddenly, Sanji Liu raised her voice and said, I have told your father many times that I will never sell those shares to him in my lifetime. And I have been away from the Liu family for so many years. I have already returned what the Liu family gave me. So this is a grudge between the rich and powerful. Wen Jiu was stunned. The next second, Sanji Liu walked in angrily. Liu Xiaohang followed closely with an awkward smile. When she came in, she did not forget to glance at Wen Jiu, as if she was worried that she would go out and talk nonsense. Xiaohang, I will tell you one last time for your mother's sake. The mess of the Liu family is not something you can clean up alone. You'd better get out of the Liu family as soon as possible to avoid being implicated in the future. Upon hearing this, Liu Xiaohang's first reaction was to go to see Wen Jiu. Fortunately, the other party only looked at the bracelets on the counter and did not look in their direction. But she still did not want to talk about the Liu family in front of outsiders. After all, this kind of thing can be regarded as a secret of the Liu family. However, Liu Sanji did not show any mercy and continued to advise her it was good luck that the Liu family was not held accountable when something happened back then, but it does not mean that the Liu family will always be lucky. I have told your father this countless times. There is no good person in the White family from top to bottom. They said that they would better fight against the business of the Z family by uniting. How can they understand business when they are in politics? Liu Xiaohang actually knew the situation of the Liu family. After all, she was one of the children of the Liu family who participated in the power grab, and her father was still optimistic about her at present, so he would naturally reveal some of the situation to her. Although she told herself that it was wrong to do so, she had to grit her teeth and do things she was unwilling to do in order to compete for the position of the head of the family. As she spoke, Liu Sanji sighed. She looked at Wen Jiu and then at Liu Xiaohang. Go back and give your father an answer. I will not agree to sell the shares. You can see that I still have guests here. I will talk about other things after I entertain the guests. You can leave today. After she finished speaking, she walked back to the door and pulled it open, making a gesture of no goodbye to Liu Xiaohang. Seeing this, Liu Xiaohang stood there, hesitant to speak, but in the end she didn't say anything, just walked out with a sad face. After she left, Liu Sanji breathed a sigh of relief. Auntie Liu, are you Sister Liu's aunt? Although Wen Jiu didn't want to eavesdrop on anything deliberately, her sensitive hearing really made it difficult for her not to listen. Hearing this, Liu Sanji first took a cup of black tea from the counter and sipped it lightly. After calming down, she said, yes, do you know Xiaohang? She didn't know that Liu Xiaohang also knew Wen Jiu, but she would not let it go because of this. Well, I guess we know each other. My friend's brother took us to the Fest restaurant for dinner, and Sister Liu came to our private room to chat for a while. Wen Jiu's words were 70% true and 30% false. After all, what happened in the Fest restaurant before was quite complicated to talk about now. She didn't want to hide anything, but she felt that it was a bit troublesome to talk about the cause and effect. Liu Sanji didn't doubt it, because she knew that Liu Xiaohang took over the Fest restaurant, and she was also very clear about how ambitious her niece was. She treated every customer who came to the restaurant very seriously and carefully. So she took another sip of red tea and said, so that's the case. Xiaohang is very good in her career, but she is a little stubborn. Hearing this, Wen Jiu silently thought that Liu Sanji seemed to have the same personality. Could it be that this was inherited from the family? Liu Sanji seemed to be in a bad mood. She looked at Wen Jiu in silence for a long time, and then began to help him choose a bracelet. This bracelet made of flamestone seems to be very suitable for the person you described. She took out a bracelet made of several red gems from the counter where she placed non-sale items. This is her collection for exhibition, and she has been reluctant to sell it. You can rest assured that these flamestones are all produced by Milestar, not sold by some high-end imitation factory. She didn't know that Wen Jiu didn't know gems, and she just introduced them seriously. The flamestones are pomegranate red all over, and each one is carefully selected by me, and I also matched 2 black flashes in it, so that it doesn't look too ordinary and tacky. Wen Jiu took the bracelet handed over by Liu Sanji, and looked at it. This bracelet is indeed the most in line with her expectations. And she still remembers that the mecha driven by Uruman seems to be such a bright red and black color. So she happily scanned the code and paid. Although it was really expensive to her, but thinking of how much benefit she had received, her little heart was also comforted to a certain extent. Wen, are you leaving now? Liu Sanji sat on the recliner a little depressed. Seeing this, Wen Jiu scratched his head and replied, I still have some things to deal with. Aunt Liu, is there anything I can help you with? After that, Liu Sanji was silent for a long time before slowly saying, would you like to stay with your aunt for a while? Auntie wants to talk to you. Wen Jiu was a little entangled when she heard this. It was not that she didn't want to accompany her, but she had to rush back to the hospital. However, she was interested in Liu Sanji's affairs at the moment, so she glanced at the time on the electronic clock. Fortunately, it was still early in the evening, so she found a stool and sat down, thinking that she would talk to her about something. Today's second update has also been delivered by the little author. Thank you for the support of the Little Angels 030. Chapter 445, The Secret of the Liu Family 2. However, to Wen Jiu's surprise, third sister Liu actually talked about the Liu family. She thought that the other party was just chatting about family matters and was thinking about how to ask about things that interested her. Because when third sister Liu was talking to Liu Xiaoying before, she heard that the Liu family was not held accountable when something happened that year. She wanted to know what happened to the Liu family, and that the White family and the Liu family were going to jointly suppress the Z family. In any case, Z Qinghai is now her good friend, and she naturally doesn't want to see the other party suffer or something happen to the other party's family. You also know that I'm Xiaoying's third aunt, and you heard all the words just now. It's not good for me to talk to other people. If you think what I said is too complicated, you can forget it after you leave this door. Third sister Liu has a bad temper and a very stubborn personality. She has never had many good friends to accompany her. Her former friends either got married and had children, or no longer associated with her. The only person she can consider as a good friend now is the enthusiastic sister Chen, who likes to spread gossip. What she wanted to talk about were all the secrets of the Liu family, and naturally these things could not be heard by Sister Chen. Although Sister Chen was a very kind and warm-hearted person, she was too enthusiastic and sometimes did bad things unintentionally. Therefore, after thinking about it, she thought that only the little girl Wen Jiu could listen to her talk. It's okay, Aunt Liu, I will forget it when I leave this door. Wen Jiu sat on the bench obediently, feeling like she was back to her childhood listening to her master's teaching. But what she heard next really made it difficult for her to describe her feelings. Third sister Liu's real name was Liu Lun, and she was originally the sister of the head of the Liu family. As for Liu Xiaoying, she was the daughter of the head of the Liu family, so naturally she had to call her third aunt when she saw her. In her early years, she loved freedom and didn't want to be restrained, but the relationship within the Liu family had never been very good, and she would inevitably be involved when it came to power. Therefore, she hated this kind of power struggle, and she was just an ordinary person without superpowers, and it was even more difficult to endure in this kind of power struggle. After graduating from an ordinary college on other planets, Sanji Liu should have married a noble from another planet according to family rules, or returned to choose to marry someone from the White family. In the name of making a contribution to their Liu family, she could only marry someone of the same origin, or marry into a better family. But she was not the kind of puppet who was manipulated at will. After graduation, she did not return to planet 3047 at all, but went to live on other planets by interstellar spaceship. Do you think that the past events I told you are meaningless? Sanji Liu said with a tear in her eyes. I think about it every night. If I had not come back at the beginning. Hearing this, Wen Jiu did not respond to her, but looked at her seriously and waited for the next words. Sanji Liu did not say any more extra words, turned her head and looked over and asked softly, you are a student studying at the Preparatory Military Academy. You should know the big event that happened a few years ago. I have heard of it, but I don't understand it. Wen Jiu said carefully. Sanji Liu took the electronic cigarette from the table next to her, and her face became more worried after she took a puff. At that time, the business of the Liu family had been shrinking due to the impact of the Z family, so the head of the family agreed to the White family in this very critical situation to form a so-called biological company and secret base together. I don't know the specific situation, but the head of the family came to me and asked me to invest, saying that this plan would bring the Liu family back to the top, and it would be a sure win and I would get the majority of the shares. The more Liu Sanji talked, the more obvious the mockery on her face became. When she just graduated, her stupid brother forced her to marry someone. As a result, she made the Liu family's property so bad that she came to her crying and begging her for money to invest in the business. I didn't think too much about it at the time. Although I hated my brother, Xiaoying's father, I was a member of the Liu family after all, and I didn't want to see the Liu family fall and decline. So I invested a lot of money in their biological company, which is why Xiaoying has been pestering me recently, wanting me to give up my shares or sell them to the Liu family. If you want to say what Liu Sanji regrets most in her life, it must be that she trusted her brother back then, which led to the Liu family making a big mistake and becoming what it is now. In the smoke, she calmed down before continuing. The biological company and the so-called secret base were all proposed by the White family to be established. At that time, I thought the White family was kind-hearted and wanted to help the Liu family, which was about to fall into despair. As a result, that incident happened later, and the federal government sent people here to investigate the case. I realized that the Liu family was just a scapegoat. Her story was told in a discontinuous and incomplete manner, but Wen Jiu was a person who had heard several versions after all, and he was still able to piece together the complete story from them. Liu Sanji felt that she had said too much, so she carefully selected her words and continued. Anyway, after the incident, the biological company and the secret base were blocked, and I didn't get the money back. But I don't care whether it's money or not. Anyway, I can make the money back sooner or later. It's just that I regret trusting others so much, and I can't sleep well every time I think about this. As for the following things, Wen Jiu didn't need her to say more, and she could understand it from it. It was probably that Liu Sanji felt that she couldn't sleep at night and her conscience was uneasy. Later, she had a big quarrel with the head of the Liu family, and then she broke off relations with the Liu family and changed her name. From then on, she didn't want to interfere in any of the Liu family's affairs. Wen Jiu didn't say anything after listening to this, but just thought seriously about how complicated this matter was. From the initial college competition and the exclusive training for outstanding students, to the gene fusion experiment and seedling plan revealed by Chu Jian. Now there are the biological companies and secret bases mentioned by Liu Sanji. She felt that the matter was becoming more and more complicated. She seemed to be very close to the truth, but when she thought about it seriously, it seemed out of reach. In the end, Liu Sanji did not continue to confide anything. She just smoked quietly for a while and recalled the past, and then went to the counter to find a grey and blue gem bracelet to give to Wen Jiu. When I saw you before, I thought this bracelet was very suitable for you. I quite like you, a little girl. You opened a store at a young age. You can tell at a glance that you are very ambitious. She looked at Wen Jiu meaningfully and then sent him out the door. She did not sign till the little figure disappeared, and then she locked the door. Hey, the last update of today was successfully delivered. Perfectly finished. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 446, The Past One. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Are you feeling better? Zizi stood at the entrance of Danghu shopping mall in a suit and tie. He had been waiting for Wen Jiu here for a long time. He had wanted to go to the hospital with Zikingayu to visit her, but more and more suppliers came to AOS Pharmaceuticals to seek cooperation with him recently. Although he could leave the meeting and negotiation matters to his assistant, he still dutifully met with many suppliers to discuss cooperation in order to better promote and sell low-level physical recovery potions. And from Wen Jiu's point of view, compared with his concern, perhaps the dividends deposited into the account could comfort the other party more. It's okay, I can hold on until you pay me. Wen Jiu wrapped his coat tighter. She wore a light grey wool sweater with a grey powder thin coat today. These were the new clothes Uruman bought for her, but she still felt a little cold after going out. Hearing this, Ziziu immediately took back the caring words he wanted to say next. He coughed twice before speaking. Let's go in and take a look at the store. I found someone to decorate for you. Because Wen Jiu didn't know any reliable engineering teams, Ziziu naturally had more connections than her, So she took the initiative to propose the idea of finding someone to do the decoration for her. The most important thing is that Zizio can help her lower the price, and the prices of decoration and purchase of various items and appliances can be lowered. So she handed the decoration of the store to the other party, and she only had to pay a little money to be a hands-off boss. The two walked side by side towards the middle of the first floor of the mall, and soon they arrived in front of Wen Jiu's new store. In just a few days, this empty store was fully decorated. The style is based on the simple style selected by Wen Jiu, so the walls and floors are a combination of beige and dark brown, and the tables and chairs are also selected in the middle color of milk coffee. This combination is simple and beautiful. The decoration of the store is almost done. I personally selected these tables and chairs. They are made of economical and cost-effective wood. This is the first time that Zizio has learned to be thrifty with money. You know, he used to buy whatever he liked and never cared about the price. He just wanted to buy something for his own happiness. The glass door outside is double locked. If the iris fingerprint cannot be verified, the set password can be used to unlock it. This is also for the convenience of the decoration workers to enter and exit. You understand me quite well. When Jiu began to check after entering the store, I think the hall can be decorated a little more. Hearing this, Zizio nodded in agreement. Then I'll go back and take a few pictures of famous artists and hang them in the hall to add to the atmosphere. When Jiu's eyes widened slightly after hearing this, and she replied, "It's not necessary to spend this money. I'll go to the supermarket to buy some paper and pens later, and then go home to draw 2 pictures to make do." She would not spend so much money on this. She thought about drawing 2 pictures of chickens pecking at rice and hanging them up to make the wall look not empty. Well, that's fine. Zizio wanted to change the subject, so he took her to visit the kitchen. He had never invested in catering, and he rarely cooked at home, so his assistant was responsible for buying kitchen supplies. "It's quite complete. You have bought all the seasonings, so I don't have to buy them myself." When Jiu glanced around and left, she originally came to see Zizio to see how the store was decorated, but after accidentally learning about the Z family from Liu Sanji, she wanted to find a place to have a good chat with Zizio. According to the news she learned from Zikingayu, the current heir of the Z family is Zizio. So she thinks that as the future heir, Zizio must know a thing or two about the Liu family and the White family. Moreover, the Z family is not as strange as the Liu family and the White family. Whether it is the development of children or their marriage, the current head of the Z family gives priority to letting his children make their own decisions. From the fact that Zikingayu came to study in a public college and Zizio still has no partner, it can be seen that the head of the Z family is indeed raising his children well according to this concept. Why are you asking this suddenly? Zizio couldn't help but flash a trace of vigilance in his eyes. Although he seemed to be easy to get along with in front of Wen Jiu, as an heir who would shoulder great responsibilities in the future, he was definitely not someone who could be easily tricked into telling you something. "I got a little gossip from someone else, and I thought that we were partners after all, so I came to you to leak some information and exchange some information." Wen Jiu never did a business that would lose money. Although she would definitely tell this information to Zizio, she still had to make some money before that. After she finished speaking, Zizio stared at her for a long time with a scrutinizing look. Then he walked over and whispered, "Let's talk about it somewhere else." This was not a good place to talk about important things, so he drove Wen Jiu to AOS Pharmaceuticals. "Sit down. My office is absolutely safe. You can say whatever you want." Zizio asked the assistant to pour a cup of hot tea for Wen Jiu, then asked him to leave and locked the door of the office and told the assistant not to see anyone else for the time being unless his father came. "I also heard about this by accident. Zikingayu and I have been friends for such a long time. I feel that my conscience will be uneasy if I don't tell it." Wen Jiu smiled and kept it a secret. After doing some preparation, she told the news. However, she did not reveal that she learned it from Liu Sanji, but only said that she heard it by chance. After the words fell, Zizio was stunned for a moment, then smiled and shook his head and said, "I have known this news for a long time, but thank you for telling me for my brother's sake." He knew the hidden thoughts of the Liu family. A few years ago, in order to prevent the business expansion of the Z family, the Liu family joined forces with the White family, who also had ill intentions. It was just that the Liu family had a problem because of the poor work at that time, and they were almost sent to jail by the Federation. In the end, it was the White family who found someone to find a way to save the Liu family. Now, seeing that the business of the Z family is getting better and better, it is about to replace the Liu family as the business overlord of Planet 3047. The Liu family will naturally rush to find helpers, thinking that they can suppress the Z family again. However, the Z family is no longer as easy to suppress as before. In recent years, the head of the Z family has been working hard to develop business and make connections in order to prevent the Liu family and the White family from making a comeback. The first update of today has been delivered. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 447. The Past 2. Wen Jiu thought for a moment, based on the information revealed by Ziziu, and then asked, although I understand that business competition will suppress each other, why does the White family keep helping the Liu family? She felt that people should learn from their mistakes. The Liu family's previous cooperation with the White family failed, so why didn't the latter switch to the Z family, which is also in business? Because the Liu family and the White family are both local forces on Planet 3047, they naturally don't want to see outsiders like the Z family take control of the business power. Ziziu picked up the teapot and added a new cup of tea to Wen Jiu. What he was talking about now was not the secrets of the Z family. The other party could know the news, as long as they were willing to inquire. Then he continued to add, and our Z family is not as short-sighted as them. We would never trade our children in order to make connections and cling to the rich and powerful. It's not that the White family has not sought cooperation with the Z family. After all, although the White family is powerful, it mainly develops in the field of political power. It's just that the Z family is unwilling to reach a cooperation. They don't like the way the White family does things, and they don't agree with the White family's family concept. But business and politics have been difficult to separate since ancient times, so the White family will support the Liu family. Hearing this, Wen Jiu understood a lot. Since Ziziu already knew about this, there was no need for her to stay. And it was a little late at this moment, and she had to rush to the shelter center, so she got up and said goodbye to the other party and left. But before she left the office, she remembered the biological company and secret base mentioned by Liu Sanji, so she stopped and asked Ziziu, I don't know everything about this matter. I'll find my father to learn more about it later, and then tell you, okay? He hadn't taken over the business of the Z family when the accident happened, so he didn't know much about the matter mentioned by Wen Jiu. After saying that, Wen Jiu thought for a moment and nodded, and then walked out accompanied by Ziziu. While waiting for the elevator, she told the other party where she was going next. Ziziu asked, you don't want me or someone else to take you there? Do you want to save a few star coins for the bus fare? You have to save it. Wen Jiu nodded under his slightly disgusted look. Hearing this, Ziziu could only arrange a driver to take her to the destination after going down to the lobby on the first floor. Although he wanted to go with him, there was another meeting that required him to participate, so he could only wait until the back was empty. The prosperous and beautiful scenery disappeared little by little with the driving of the hovercraft, and the high-rise buildings like a steel jungle were gradually replaced by low buildings like mushrooms. The originally fresh air gradually began to become turbid, and the desolate and dilapidated scene was completely different from the previous scenery. This was the difference between the rich area and the slum area. Thank you, master. Wen Jiu politely said goodbye to the driver after getting off the car, and then turned and walked towards the shelter center that had been built. Wang Nan had been waiting for her at the door early in the morning. When she saw her appear, she immediately waved and shouted, Zio Wen. This way. I'm coming. Wen Jiu ran to Wang Nan with a smile. She had heard from the other party that when she was away these days, the stray animal shelter center was not only successfully built, but also successfully passed the review of the Animal Management Bureau and obtained the qualification. Moreover, these homeless stray animals had a place to go, and Grandma Zao's hanging heart these days was finally put down, and her spirits were much better than before. When Jiu walked, while listening to Wan and telling her about the current situation, and at the same time she carefully observed the shelter center that was built at a very fast speed. The speed of building this stray animal shelter center was too fast, which showed that she was right to spend money, to let Wan Nan find a construction team that worked quickly. It took such a short time to build this shelter, it was so fast, that she felt a little unbelievable. Be careful of the steps, Wan Nan said happily as he walked to the front door. Although it's built, I haven't had time to buy all the things inside, and the staff I've recruited is not enough. He was really doing his best to do this, but he and Grandma Zao had no experience. If the Animal Management Bureau hadn't sent a few volunteers, even if their stray animal shelter was built, it might not be able to be successfully operated and used. Hearing this, Wen Jiu smiled and replied, "It's okay, things can be bought slowly. Are there any other problems to solve at the moment?" She chose to set up a stray animal shelter this time, mainly to repay Grandma Zao's kindness. Anyway, there is no problem with funding for the time being, so she can rest assured, even if she returns to the college later. Well, there is no problem in general. We just need to recruit a few more people, and buy all the things. Although the Animal Management Bureau cannot help us take in animals, we can contact them, if we have any questions. Wan Nan scratched his head after hearing her words. Everything is fine at the shelter for the time being, and he is also working hard to learn how to operate it. However, he soon remembered something that was not big or small. There is one thing, but I and others should be able to solve it. He thought about it carefully and continued, "You know that we took in a batch of stray animals transferred by the Animal Management Bureau a few days ago. In addition to official institutions such as the Animal Management Bureau, there are also many private stray animal shelters. Therefore, the Animal Management Bureau will transfer the stray animals that cannot be taken into these private stray animal shelters after completing the procedures." The shelter built by Wen Jiu and his team this time is not small. After taking in the stray animals of Grandma Zao, there are still many places available to take in more stray animals. So after Wan Nan sent a message to Wen Jiu, he received the stray animals transferred from the Animal Management Bureau. "Yeah, I know that." Wen Jiu followed him and looked at the animals locked in their cages. Their condition was obviously much better than when they were in the shack before. Except for those with injuries, all of them were lively and energetic. It's a strange thing to talk about. Wan Nan didn't know where to start, so she could only talk about it in a rambling way. "Zio Wen, don't think that your brother Wang is superstitious. Some things really can't be explained by science." Hearing this, Wen Jiu felt a little complicated. She could actually be a scientific pioneer. You know, Kyo Shishi and Zikingai often advised her not to be too superstitious. But she still calmly replied, "It's okay, Brother Wang, you say, although I don't believe in those things, but I'm still willing to listen." Today's second update is also delivered. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Chapter 448, Strange Things in the Shelter Center 1. Afterwards, Wan Nan slowly talked about the strange things that happened in the past few days. The stray animals transferred from the Animal Management Bureau were said to be taken in from other cities. During this period, not only their stray animals overflowed, but also the situation in several other cities. Among the volunteers who came to the shelter to help, there is a veterinarian. He is usually responsible for physical examinations for stray animals, and he was also responsible for the examination of the animals that came back. Although the Animal Management Bureau has already conducted an inspection and given us the information of that batch of stray animals, we will still do another inspection to prevent any infectious diseases, Wan Nan said, while taking Wen Jiu to the back of the building. The stray animals that were previously taken in by Grandma Zao's shack were all arranged in the shelter room on the left side of the building. As for the group that had just arrived a few days ago, they were placed in the back room for isolation and observation. After all, some animal infectious diseases cannot be detected in a day or two. He took Wen Jiu to the door and said, "All these new animals have injuries on their bodies, as if they were abused by someone." After saying that, he pretended to be mysterious. "Don't be afraid when you see these animals later. Dr. Lee said that they are in adolescence and have been injured, so their tempers will naturally be particularly irritable. The next second, he entered the password and pushed the door open. At that moment, Wen Jiu suddenly realized why Wang Nan said that. Because when these stray animals saw them appear, they did not look confused or excited. Instead, they stared at them calmly like people, and each of them sat obediently in the cage without making a fuss. Seeing this, Wen Jiu felt a chill for some reason. Don't be afraid, Xiao Wen, they just look a little scary. Dr. Lee said that this should be a symptom caused by trauma. After we raise them for a while, they will be cute again. Wang Nan saw her standing at the door motionless and thought she was scared by these animals. However, she was not frightened at all, but felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on her, and her whole body was cold from head to toe. These stray animals looked very much like Chujian before, whether they were in adolescence, had injuries on their bodies, or had bad tempers and human-like eyes. Every bit was consistent with the former Ziohei. Fortunately, there are only a dozen stray animals in this batch. If there were more, I'm afraid no one would be willing to take care of them. Wang Nan said as he found cat food and dog food from the corner. It was already past 6 in the evening, and it was time for them to feed the animals. The recruited employees would be responsible for feeding several animals, but the animals in this room had not been allocated in time, so Wang Nan bit the bullet and took over the temporary responsibility of feeding and caring for them. He also found the food bowl from the locker next to him. Every time the animals finished their meals, the administrator would collect the food bowl for the next feeding, and the animals drank water from the hanging water fountain outside the cage. Don't think their eyes are a bit scary, they are actually very obedient when you interact with them, as long as you don't take the initiative to provoke them. In just a few days, Wang Nan has figured out how to get along with them. While pouring food into the numbered food bowls, he said some interesting things to relax Wen Jiu. These animals are smarter than the previous ones. You see, when I told them to make way for food, they knew to walk away from the cage door, making it easier for me to open the cage door and put the food bowls. As he said that, he opened a cage door to demonstrate to Wen Jiu and saw that the puppy inside had a gloomy face like a human. However, it quickly took a few steps deeper, and its performance was exactly the same as Wang Nan described. Wen Jiu still hasn't recovered from the shock. She didn't know how to describe her feelings for a moment, and she hoped very much that these animals were not what she thought. The puppy waited until Wang Nan put the food bowl down, before stepping forward again and burying its face in the bowl, eating like an ordinary animal. Seeing this, Wen Jiu suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe she really thought too much. There are many animals in this world that understand human nature. There are not many animals in this room. She silently counted, and there were only 12. Her mood is very complicated now. On the one hand, she hopes that her guess is wrong, and on the other hand, she thinks that this matter is not so coincidental. Everything is fed, then let's go out and talk. Wang Nan winked at her, and then hurried out. Hearing this, Wen Jiu followed him out. But before she left, she looked back at the animals and saw that they all stopped eating, raised their heads as if they sensed her sight, and stared at her with a calm look that was very similar to that of a human. It must be said that being stared at by an animal like this is not so bad. But now that she was stared at by 12 animals at the same time, she couldn't help but feel a little creepy. Wang Nan saw that she was still half a meter away from the door, so he stepped over and pulled her sleeve out. I should have known I wouldn't have brought you to see it. It's normal for you to be scared at such a young age, but I, your brother Wang, am not afraid of such things. Wen Jiu didn't have the energy to explain anything at the moment. She was thinking about how these animals came from. Chujian, who turned into Ziohei, was caught by chance, but now there are 12 animals similar to Ziohei. It's impossible that they were all caught by chance and sent to the shelter. However, she quickly calmed down and began to ask Wang Nan about these animals. Do you think they look like people? Every time I go in to feed and take care of them, I get goosebumps. But people can't turn into animals, so I think these animals are quite weird. Where did they come from? I remember they were sent from Zifeng City. I heard that there are more stray animals there than here. Do you want to go to the office to check the information? The Animal Management Bureau sent us a copy. Wang Nan started to take her to the office, and on the way, he introduced her to each room, as well as the staff and volunteers they met on the way. The office was at the corner of the first floor. After Wang Nan entered, he started yelling again. I almost forgot to tell you that I encountered a strange thing when I went to check on the stray animals last night. I was just about to open the door of the room that accommodates new animals when I suddenly heard a weak whimpering sound. I was so scared that my legs went limp. Hearing this, Wen Jiu asked with interest, could it be coming from the door? The next second, Wang Nan nodded with a look of fear on his face. Today's 333rd update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 449. Strange Things in the Shelter Center 2. If it were someone else, they would have turned and run. But I, your brother Wang, am naturally very brave. Wang Nan began to brag as he spoke, and the panic on his face faded a lot. I was stunned for only a moment before I opened the door, but the animals inside were all fast asleep, and the strange crying sound disappeared after the door was opened. I checked the room carefully, but I didn't hear the crying sound again, so I went back to the duty room to rest after the inspection. When the shelter was built, they didn't think of building staff dormitories, so they could only convert a few empty rooms into lounges and duty rooms. Anyway, there are not many staff and volunteers now, so there is no need to build a special staff dormitory. After Wang Nan finished speaking, he thought about it for a moment, and then said, speaking of the duty room, I remembered another strange thing. That night, I wanted to go to sleep directly after returning to the duty room, but as soon as I lay down, I saw the monitor display flashing, as if the signal was bad or the circuit was faulty. So I had to get up to check the circuit, but when I just walked to the door of the duty room, I suddenly caught a glimpse of the surveillance screen of the room where the new animals were, and I almost broke out in a cold sweat. Wen Jiu couldn't help but fall into deep thought when listening to Wang Nan's narration, especially when the other party said that those animals all gathered in front of the cage door and stared at the direction of the surveillance. This made her more certain of her previous guess. Perhaps these stray animals were really experimental subjects like Chu Jian. But she couldn't tell Wang Nan these words. She could only pretend to be indifferent and said, Brother Wang, I think you are tired these days. The flashing of the surveillance camera is obviously a signal problem. And the strange crying sound that suddenly sounded, I think it may be that you are under too much pressure and hallucination. Speaking of which, I know a doctor. How about I introduce him to you for relaxation treatment? Hearing this, Wang Nan smiled awkwardly and scratched his head. Zio Wen, what you said makes sense, but these things. Forget it, who still believes in those feudal superstitions these days? After saying that, he found the electronic panel on the table, and then found the information about the batch of stray animals, and showed it to Wen Jiu. Some animals are injured, and it is recommended to treat them as soon as possible, she read in a low voice while reading. They were picked up by citizens of Zifeng City and handed over to the Zifeng City Animal Management Bureau. Her voice was relatively weak, deliberately controlled to a volume that Wang Nan could hear. Yes, this batch of animals was sent from Zifeng City. I heard that they were the first to have an overflow of stray animals. This is what Wen Jiu wanted to know. After all, there were some things that she couldn't ask directly, and asking too much would affect Wang Nan's mood. The other party was already in a state of fear. If she kept asking questions, it would make him suspicious and spread the news. So she only read a few words from the information and used them to guide Wang Nan to reveal the information. However, there was too little useful information on the data. She memorized it secretly and handed the electronic panel back, saying, Thank you, Brother Wang. Please take care of these animals. No, do you want to go see Grandma Zhao? She has been taking care of the animals herself these days, but she looks so energetic now. Hearing this, Wen Jiu glanced at the clock on the wall. It's getting late. I'll come another day. Brother Wang, please help me pass these things to Grandma Zhao. The problem of stray animals has been solved now, and she doesn't have to worry about the situation on Grandma Zhao's side. So after saying goodbye to Wang Nan, she went out and took the floating bus back to the 3047 hospital. On the way back, Wen Jiu kept thinking about what Wang Nan said and the information she saw about the batch of stray animals. According to the information provided by the other party, the stray animals in Zifeng City were the first to overflow, and then the same situation occurred in Dongfang City where they were. It can be seen that, if she wants to find more useful information, she must know the situation in Zifeng City. But she had never been to Western City, so she knew nothing about it. Wen Jiu was lost in thought as she watched the ever-changing scenery outside the window. She always felt as if she was trapped in an endless mystery. She only wanted to make money and become an ordinary rich person, but everything that happened now made her feel like she had lost control. It was as if an invisible hand was pushing her to uncover the fog, and the dangers hidden under the fog were also approaching her. Unconsciously, she seemed to have already embarked on a path that was completely different from her goal. We are about to arrive at the 3047 hospital station. Please take your belongings and prepare to get off the bus. Wen Jiu leaned back in her seat and breathed a sigh of relief, then stood up and walked towards the door to get off. She just walked 2 steps with her head down when she bumped into someone head on. Hiss, sorry, I didn't pay attention just now. She rubbed the place where she was hit and hurt a little, and when she looked up, she saw that the person looked familiar. Green eyes with a bearded face. Isn't this the mecha teacher in the academy, Go Green? As if he didn't recognize her, he glanced at her coldly, then found an empty seat and sat down to look out the window. Seeing this, although Wen Jiu was a little confused, the bus had already arrived at the station, so she could only pretend nothing happened and got off the bus. After getting off the bus, she took 2 steps forward and turned back to look at the floating bus. Just as the bus was about to leave for the next stop, Go Green suddenly turned his head and hooked the corner of his lip in her direction and made a few silent lip shapes. But before Wen Jiu could react, the floating bus set off like an arrow from the string. For some reason, her heart suddenly started beating rapidly. So she ran quickly towards the gate of the 3047 hospital, rushed all the way to the door of Zhu Wangming's office and knocked hard. Fortunately, after only a moment, Zhu Wangming came out with a speechless look on his face. What are you doing? You're about to break my door. Huh, let's talk inside. She pushed the other person into the door. Do you know Go Green? Hearing this, Zhu Wangming was stunned for a moment before speaking. Not to say I know him, I just know that he is one of the nails planted by those people in your college. After he closed the door, he continued, what's wrong? I know he wanted to contact you in the college before, but after your mother you asked someone to interfere, he became much more obedient. The first update of today has been successfully delivered. Thank you to every little angel who insists on following the update. With your company, I can write seriously every day. Every time I see the little angels who follow the update, I feel very moved. CAC. Chapter 450, Stewed Beef Brisket with Potatoes 1. Wen Jiu didn't know that Yu Ruman had helped her solve the harassment of Go Green, but now was not the time to talk about the past. She told Zhu Wangming about her encounter with Go Green just now, and he showed a look of understanding and said, these rats in the ditch are really impatient, but you can rest assured that the hospital is very safe. Ever since Zhao Zai's incident last time, Zhu Wangming joined forces with others and took the opportunity to remove the hidden males in the 3047 hospital. Although there may be 3 or 4 people in the hospital who have not been found, at least 98% of the people in the hospital are fine. Okay, then I'll go to the kitchen first. Wen Jiu was busy outside all afternoon and was a little hungry now. She thought that there was no point in being anxious now, so she might as well solve the problem of hunger. After he finished speaking, Zhu Wangming's expression changed. He asked excitedly, what delicious food are you going to make tonight? I'm so busy that I don't have time to eat. Wen Jiu couldn't help laughing after hearing his words. You mean you're busy playing games with the electronic panel, or you're scribbling on these papers? Zhu Wangming's desk was filled with a pile of papers. The handwriting on them was very sloppy, and he also used colored pens to outline and draw a lot of patterns. Well, this is not considered scribbling, okay? Zhu Wangming rarely showed a trace of embarrassment. Eating is important. Eating is important. You go to the kitchen to cook first. Seeing this, Wen Jiu asked in confusion, "Aren't you going with me? Don't think about eating. If you don't work, I'll be responsible for cleaning the kitchen after dinner, okay?" Zhu Wangming knew her rules, so he simply found a job for himself. Since Zhu Wangming said he was responsible for cleaning the kitchen, she didn't stay any longer and walked out directly. The moment Wen Jiu closed the door, Zhu Wangming's relaxed smile disappeared instantly. With a bit of coldness in his eyes, he opened the light screen panel and started sending messages. After finishing, he sat at the table and started writing and drawing. If Wen Jiu could understand his scribbling, he would know that he was not scribbling, but analyzing what happened during this period. Wen Jiu, who was unaware of this, had already walked to the kitchen door. Since she cooked for the medical staff 2 days ago, everyone would take the initiative to give up the kitchen for her to use for live broadcasting every day. Therefore, her live broadcasts in the past few days have been normal, but she has to give priority to cooking for these medical staff. But this is not a difficult task for her. After all, whether she is in the cafeteria or the restaurant, she has cooked more meals than here, so it is really nothing for her to cook for these 40 or 50 people. "Hey, Xiao Wen is here." Wen Jiu just walked to the door and met the medical staff who came to the kitchen. The other party shouted excitedly at the door, and the others ran over in anticipation. Seeing this, Wen Jiu could only smile awkwardly and took a few steps back. She would not do a live broadcast tonight. She was already a little tired after running around all afternoon. She planned to just cook something and go back to the wood to rest. What delicious food will Xiao Wen make tonight? Fortunately, I haven't cooked yet. Can you make golden egg fried rice? I love it so much. Wang Huniu, you should stop caring about what Xiao Wen does. Don't you know that everything she cooks is delicious after eating it for these days? Xiao Wen, don't listen to her, just do whatever you want. Seeing that these medical staff were getting more and more enthusiastic and excited, Wen Jiu could only quickly explain, "I won't do a live broadcast tonight, and I'm tired today, so I'll just cook something." Everyone was not unreasonable and arrogant. When they heard her words, they automatically dispersed and stopped surrounding her. So Wen Jiu was able to enter the kitchen smoothly. While she was looking for ingredients, she thought that she seemed to have forgotten something. It was not until she found all the ingredients she needed that she remembered that she forgot to ask Chu Jian to come to work. When Jiu saw that the nursely who was in charge of the other person happened to be here, so he said, "Sister Lee, can you help me tell the patient in 702 that he wants to eat tonight? Okay, can you give me something to eat later?" Little Lee took a bowl of zucchini soup and sipped it, but her mind was all on Wen Jiu. In the past, she thought that the food she cooked was very fragrant and delicious, but when she ate the pineapple ribs and egg fried rice made by Wen Jiu, she realized that the food she cooked before was very dark. Hearing this, Wen Jiu nodded very readily, and she could still cook for one more person. So Nurse Lee put down the bowl and hurried out, and soon she came back with Chu Jian, who looked unhappy. "Come here and help me cut these vegetables, and then take out a few bowls and plates to wash them." Wen Jiu just took out the beef brisket that had been cleaned of blood, cut it into small pieces, and soaked it in a basin with cold water. Then she scooped a few spoonfuls of clean water into the pot and turned on the fire. Tonight, she planned to make a dish of beef brisket with potatoes, and then a dish of rice with potatoes and sausages. If she had to choose among all the vegetables, her favorite vegetable would be potatoes. Hearing this, although Chu Jian was very unhappy to be woken up, thinking that there would be hot meals to eat later, she silently ran to peel and cut potatoes. Xiao Li herself was a person who could not sit still. She felt that it was not good to just wait for food without doing anything, so she found some from her own bowls and plates, and washed them for Wen Jiu to use. "Thank you, Sister Lee." Wen Jiu thanked her with a smile, and then continued to add seasoning to the bowl. After the water boiled, she put the beef brisket into the pot, and blanched it until the beef brisket was scalded and changed color, before taking it out. Then she poured some oil into another large pot, and after the oil was heated, she put in the onion, ginger, garlic and spices to stir fry. Waves of oil and spices mixed in the air, making Wen Jiu feel even hungrier. So she hurriedly poured in the sauce she had prepared, and then poured in the beef brisket, and began to stir fry quickly. The red sauce wrapped the small pieces of beef brisket in the pot, and the sizzling sound of oil continued to sound in the kitchen. In this wonderful symphony, the beef brisket, which was originally light grey and bright red, gradually turned into a caramel yellow color that made people drool. After being stir-fried for a while, it turned into a mixture of light yellow and red sauce, because of the sauce. Chujian, please make way. Wen Jiu poured out the fried beef brisket, and throw the potatoes you just cut into that pot. It takes a long time to stew beef in an ordinary pot, so she just asked Xiaoli to find a high pressure cooker, so that it won't take long to taste the delicious potatoes and beef brisket. After the beef brisket and potatoes were put into the high pressure cooker, she took out 2 Cantonese style sausages that she had made in the academy from the Ziji space. Today's second update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.